First show of the season. So here we go. This music doesn't get you pumped up enough. All right, lead heads. Welcome back to 2025. We got a whole new year of educating the uneducated here on the Talking Lead podcast. And this show, we're breaking out our crystal ball, and we're going to forecast how we see this year going in the firearms industry, politically, and maybe some other ways too. So I have brought on our foreseers, a full panel of forecasters, foreseers, fortune tellers that are going to fill in the blanks for this episode. So without further ado, I will introduce my guest. And going from my left to my right is none other than our good buddy Chad Enos with EAA. Chad,
how's it going?
Happy New Year,
my man. Chad,
Happy New Year.
And Chad, put your phone away. We're recording. Quit texting your girlfriend. And I'm gonna skip the next guy on my right because we're gonna welcome him back in a big way. Down below me, we've got joining us for second or third episode, ladies and gentlemen. It's John with Gun Owners of America. John, welcome in.
Well, thank you.
Back. What's up, John?
Are you 100%?
Wait, if this is I am like 75% today. I feel like I got hit by a bus, so we'll see how I feel. But
I didn't know if you wanted
if
to
this is the,
or not, but okay.
No, I had surgery yesterday, so I am recovering. So we'll see how I feel, but it's getting there.
Disclaimer: the medications may kick in and affect his answers today.
This is gonna be awesome.
Just plausible deniability, John.
Oh yeah, 100% plausible deniability. If this is the fortune telling for the year, does that make Ton the great Zambini, like from the fortune telling machine? Because he looks exactly like him. I just had to put that out there.
Bambini, maybe. with that hat he had on, the Great Gatsby. And then to John's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's our good friend, longtime leadhead, contributor to the show, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Pincus. Rob, welcome in.
Pincus.
Glad to be here. Very excited about predicting the future, as always. And welcome being wrong occasionally, just to make it interesting.
I like that. And then my partner in crime, my co-host, ladies and gentlemen, with Firebird Targets, it is the ton of fun Jones.
What is happening?
I like the hat.
Thank you. That's my cold weather hat. Keeps the tattoos warm. Keeps the tattoos warm.
I mean, I can't believe you would wear anything to deter the cold because you wear shorts when it's -2 out.
I'm still in shorts.
I don't doubt it.
This is my cold weather gear.
And then we got to have a drum roll for our next guest because it's been years.
Been some years
since we've had this gentleman on, and we are proud and glad to welcome him back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our good friend and leadhead, Brian Borkowski. Brian.
Thank you, Lefty. Thanks for having me back, man.
Welcome back. It's been too long. We got a lot of catching up to do.
It's been some years, man.
It has. So for those who may not remember our early days, and especially at SHOT Show, Brian was the one who made it possible for us to attend the SHOT Show. And we kind of did it in a super secret squirrel kind of way, where he had us tucked away in this little secret room, and it was awesome until womp, womp, womp. SHOT Show caught on and stole our room from us. Those bastards.
We had a private conference room right in the middle of where the show was, and nobody knew about it for years. It was awesome.
It was awesome. And Rob, you were in that room a few times.
I was impressed. I was like, wow, how'd you guys get this room?
Yeah. It was like our first year on the scene, and we, you're like, hey, who you guys blow?
Yeah, they controlled every room on that site except that room, and somehow they found out. Like, it was 3 or 4 years on, though. We made a good run.
Yeah, we made a real good run. I think it suffices to say you don't do business with that hotel anymore. So.
I do, unfortunately. That's how I got the room.
I know. I didn't want to go into the specifics on that, but he had a way to get that room. But
yeah,
this is going to be a great show. We've got a diverse group of people here to cover all aspects, I think, of what you listeners are going to want to hear and want for us to prognosticate. Is that the right one?
I doubt it.
Probably not. Yeah, Chad's right. But I want to go ahead and get into this, and we're going to kick it off. This is our first jack wagon of 2025. So, Gunny, bring that train in. Gunny's a little slow. He's got to get warmed up. He's on the way.
Hoorah, Simplified Do or Die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead jack wagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right. So the train is coming in hot. I took like 3 weeks or so off. So I'm fresh, recharged, and we've got probably a shit ton of jack wagons to kick this off with. And I think I'll start because Brian is on a limited time schedule here, and I want to get Brian's expertise. Brian is in the drone business, and he knows a lot about drones. So my jack wagon is multi-tiered here for this one thing. Are these drone sightings that we've been having over the East Coast and some other places? I've actually seen them here in Murfreesboro. I'm in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I was before even the Jersey stuff was out. I took some video on my phone. I haven't posted it, but there were like 3 or 4 big ass drones flying over Murfreesboro. I was out in the hot tub, and these things were up for like an hour or more. I mean, longer than a normal drone can, retain flight, because any of the drones that I own, it's like 15 minutes, and I got to bring them down, put another battery in them. But the government, for not disclosing that they know exactly what the fuck's going on, because they do. They know where these are coming from and what's going on. And 2, the media, for being complacent and not trying to push the issue. And I guess 3, the people that are flying these drones and causing the mass hysteria. So that's my multi-tiered facet on this drone issue. And before we get to Brian and maybe getting some insight on what may be going on, I want to get everybody else's opinion on these drones. So we'll start with Chad.
I don't know. I didn't really look into it a whole lot, but I just thought it was nothing. It's like a nothing burger. And I wasn't really worried about anything, but I honestly don't know any details about it, just other than what I've seen scrolling through social media.
Yeah. But aren't y'all surprised that somebody hasn't attempted to shoot one of these down? Bubba, the good old Bubba over there on the East Coast.
Yeah, the problem with a lot of this stuff is, because now that you mentioned that, there were reports of people shooting drones down, but again, like in our world of social media and information nowadays, it's really difficult to tell what's real, what's true. Are these people posting this stuff up because hey, I shot a drone down? Like, maybe they didn't shoot a drone down. Maybe they just grabbed one of their kids' drones and stomped on it and then held it up with their shotgun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? What are the drones? What was that all about? Does anyone have any idea? And
okay, so you want a little background of what's going on?
Yeah, a little bit. But I know that they were like off the coast of was it Virginia or something at first where they first
New Jersey.
Jersey was the big site.
Yeah.
Brian, give us a little background on for those who have been living in a cave lately.
Yeah, Jersey probably has the highest number of sightings. A lot of them were centered around Picatinny Arsenal in that area. And then kind of like anything, right, it starts catching on. You got copycats going all over the place. You got people that say they see them. Some are probably true. Some are probably not true. Some people are probably seeing Starlink satellites and airplanes and normal stuff, but they're reporting it because they don't know what they're looking at. If you look over the whole thing, though, there has been in multiple places in the country and sometimes international, there was a lot that were cited in the UK and confirmed by the government of unidentified objects around military bases. So,
and they supposedly they're originating from the ocean. They're coming from the sea.
Yeah, there's been a story out there that they thought somebody said there was a mothership, an Iranian mothership off the coast that was launching these things. I mean, I don't know how much credibility I have in that. The Iranians, they do some cyber stuff, but they don't really project power like that outside of the Gulf.
Hey, Brian, let me ask you this, or any of you guys. So what would be the benefit of these drones? I mean, because we've got satellites and spy planes and all this other stuff going on, and do the drones offer any better spy capabilities if this conspiracy is true?
Well, the one thing I would say is, you had Russian balloons a while back right up in the atmosphere when they're high up.
Yeah,
they're hard to track, right? They're doable, but even a SUV sized drone in the air is much smaller than the majority of any kind of manned aircraft or even that you have out there. So when big sky, they used to say big sky, little bullet, right? Big sky, little drone. It does make it difficult to both track and engage targets in a big sky, right? I mean,
but that's the thing they're saying. These things are the size of SUVs.
Yeah, but even an SUV, I mean, consider that to the smallest manned aviation things, and a Cessna, it's still smaller than that, right? So,
right. Well, I don't know. Cessnas are pretty small.
Well, you take a 12-foot drone, which is a for the drone world, that's a decent size manned drone, versus a Cessna, which is you're looking at a minimum of 32 feet, just nose to tail, with a wingspan of you're looking at almost 40 feet. It's double the size. Even a Glass Air has a wingspan of you're looking at 30 feet, but the body profile is narrow. That still puts an overall profile out there that's quite a bit larger. Drones have a very, very, even the largest drones have a very small profile, and big sky, small target. Like Brian's
but obviously
saying.
These aren't trying to be hidden or concealed because there's reports that they're in groups. They're
but
groups of them flying together.
A lot of it is also clickbait, because I know it's a dick move that once this all started and I started watching the clickbait on Instagram, everything from the downed airplane that was in Jersey that the guy's like, oh, someone shot down a drone, and it was obviously a passenger plane against the side of the road. So I went and got a bunch of Chinese lanterns. And
somebody shot down a passenger plane?
No, they said someone shot it down, but it was all clickbait for social media.
I got you.
But I wanted to test this theory a couple weeks back with Chinese lanterns. You light the bottom of it, heat it up, the hot air carries it. So I was bored, lit a couple Chinese lanterns and set them out across the field here in Texas.
What a dick.
Oh, God, it was great. I was like, okay, 20 minutes after I launched the first one, I was like, they're like drones flying over. So I ran down to the hardware store and got some balsa wood dowels and put 6 of them together in a pattern and lit 6 Chinese lanterns together and sent them up. Holy crap, it was amazing. Just the amount of misinformation.
Did you video this? I want to see this.
I was just having fun on social media. I was like, and the government's spying on us. And I'm like, it's obvious a Chinese lantern. They only last for about 30 minutes in the air. And I'm watching this, people taking the worst photographs and blurring them on purpose and editing them and saying, oh, there's all kinds of stuff. The rumors that started going over Facebook and social media, I was just dying. It's obviously
this is something completely different, and I get what you're doing there, but these are actual drones. I mean, there's real footage and
there's some that were actual drones. I think that's part of what Tan's saying is like there's definitely been legitimate sightings, specifically over Picatinny and over some places in the UK over air bases there. But there's lots of copycats out there. There's guys flying their own drones, right? There's guys doing all kinds of stuff. There's people thinking they see, even airliners because they don't know what they're looking at night, right? Like, so.
Well, here's the thing too that
it goes like fire, right? Misinformation travels faster than information.
If these things wanted to be hidden, they wouldn't have lights on them either.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do they have lights? If this is some sort of foreign country that's supposedly spying on us, why do they got these big spotlights on them?
Yeah. They wouldn't have any, even aliens, right? People saying aliens. But do you think aliens what's the chances that the aliens have a light pattern that's familiar to us, right? Like that doesn't sound really legit.
Yeah, that's on our sight spectrum even.
Yeah.
So where did the information, where did this, the information come from that these were, foreign entities that were
it's not
spying on us? What's that?
They're not. They're saying they don't know. The government is saying they don't know whose they are, where they come from, but they're saying they're not hostile. So they know they're not hostile. How do they know they're not hostile if they don't know what they are or who they're from?
So my take on this the whole time has been, right, there's probably some tech out there that the government's made. And here's what I'm going to say, right? I don't know anything for certain, but, look back. The last reliable thing that came out of the skunk works was in the 60s that we knew about, right? Or the 70s. So you're telling me all this tech has come forward and the last thing we know about out of the skunk works is like, maybe the 70s or 80s, right? At the worst, right? Come on, right? The most plausible ones that I've seen are have you seen the videos of the launch vehicles? There's a vehicle out there and it's basically all jet operated and it's moving on all axes with jet engines and hovering in the air. That one was from, like the late 90s or something like that, maybe early 2000s. I don't remember which one, but you can't find anything else on it again, ever. So my take is there's probably some tech out there the government has, and they're like, well, we're not going to disavow anything, right? And we're not going to say that it's not something. We're just going to not do it. And the fact, like Marty, you said, none of the major news agencies have really followed the story. They might have a little snippet here and there, but they're not bird dogging it, right?
Yeah.
That tells me somebody probably asked them not to, right? That's just my take.
So do you think this is the United States government that's behind this? Maybe they've got some tech. They're just throwing it out there to see how Americans react to it. And
I think they rather not be seen. I think it's been put out there for a reason that I don't understand, and I don't even want to try to think to understand. I'm hopeful that that's what it is, because every other scenario gets dark really quick, right? Like, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm hopeful that it's that.
Rob's very tight-lipped on this.
Good, Rob.
Am I even on the right podcast? Trump said that he thinks the government knows what it is, and when he's in charge, he's going to tell us what it is. So I'm relaxed on this one. Honestly, I think that Chad and Ton, Chad said it first, Ton exemplified it. And I'm from New Jersey. There was like a drone that was interesting to somebody. It hit the news. 700 jackwagons flew their drones to get a rise. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. With the size that they're reporting these, I've never seen a private drone that's that big.
Dude, I have.
I don't know why you got to be careful sitting in your hot tub for an hour. I think that can affect your blood pressure and you can start seeing things. So that could
have been the gummies.
I think there's a warning, 30 minutes max. Coming above 102.
Yeah,
coming from the lefty. So I build bikes like as a hobby on the side, and I know a lot of bike builders around the country, and I can tell you these guys are building some like wild stuff. It would not surprise me if there's garage enthusiasts that are building drones that they fly. Like sit in it and fly it. Guarantee that's happening. There's
manned drones. Is that what you're saying? A manned drone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
or just a giant drone. I don't know.
There's drones out there. When we were filming
The whole point
wildlife
of the
shows,
drone is it's not manned.
well, even when we were filming wildlife shows back in the late, early 2008, 2009, there was 18-foot drones that were taking massive cameras to film wildlife. That was years ago, and these were 18-foot plus size drones that we were using to chase wildlife and film wildlife. That because humans and cars couldn't keep up, so they were using massive drones then to film. So they're out now.
Technology exists.
John, what's GOA's stance on drones?
GOA has no stance on drones. If you can find the technology to take down the drones, you're more than welcome to if you want to. But what I've heard is even funnier. Like, people are like, well, there's 2 nuclear warheads that aren't accounted for in New Jersey, and that's why they're flying these drones to find them. So the amount of misinformation out there is insane.
Yeah.
That's actually true, but it's like from 50, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
You Google that one. A plane crashed off the coast of Jersey. Supposedly 2 nukes lost, never found. The drones are a little late to that party, though, I think.
Yeah.
And they're not quite out in the ocean where they should be.
Right. Yeah. Unless your hot tub was on a yacht, Lefty.
No, it was not. Well, I can't say what it was. So Brian, I mean, you're the expert. You've been doing drones, dealing with drones for many years now, and you've done some government work. You do a lot of private work. I know that you were doing some things with bridges and, doing some analysis, technical work with the drones. Where are we at as far as drone technology today, that the capabilities that these things maybe, I know government wise, I mean, we've seen the war over in what's that country?
Which one?
Ukraine?
Uzbekistan. Yeah, Ukraine. And how they're being used there, but where are we headed with drone technology?
So like Ton said, the technology absolutely exists to have drones that size up for an hour. Like that exists, right? So it might be more expensive than your normal hobbyist stuff. It might be out there, but that stuff exists. People, like you said, can put that together. An advanced hobbyist can put that stuff together and build a pretty good platform. So if they can do that, special government places can do a hell of a lot more than that, right? So I just tell you that stuff exists. It's not that crazy. The lights alone tell me it's human, right? Like that's just, that's kind of how I
not alien.
That
yeah. I don't think anybody's thinking that they're alien at this point.
Like Brian was saying, I grew up outside of Plant 42, and when Skunkworks was trying out all their technology, the base would go dark. They would launch a plane. They would fly it around for a couple hours. All the rumors would start. The plane would land. The base would light back up. And then the whole town would talk, and rumors would go around for a couple years. Then they would disclose what the aircraft was. And they're like, then everybody would go on to the next drama, what the next project was, and try to guess what it was until Skunkworks would release what that plane was. Yep.
Lockheed Martin, for those who don't know.
And there it is. The SR-71 Blackbird was what they were testing when I was a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, that was in the 50s. That's been around since the 50s.
And when they were launching that on their new iteration of that, when I was young, that was going out, and it was the Aurora project was another one back when I was a kid.
I haven't really seen a lot from them publicly in the last decade or two, right? We really haven't.
Well, there's other companies that are out there now. You got all of Elon's stuff. You got the guy who owns Amazon. What's his name? Bezos. That are in this stuff, and so with your company, Brian, and I want to again cover everything with you before you have to leave, because I know you got to leave here just a second. With the drones, again, where are we headed with the drone technology as far as capabilities and uses, and if you can talk about what your company's doing with drones, address that.
Yeah, I'll just give you a little background. So I used to run a defense company. I recently sold that. I had run that for almost 13 years. We were building components of technology for very specific things for government and defense applications, right? So I'm in that. Can't really talk about those stuff in too much detail, but that's what we were doing for years. I'm out of that now. I retained a company that's doing civilian side of it, and we do power lines. So for your utilities, American Electric Power, Con Edison, New York, those kind of people, we're running down the transmission lines because it's way cheaper to send drones down those than it is to use helicopters or ground-based stuff. So that's kind of my background. I kind of understand the civilian and the military side of it. The big thing on the civilian side that's coming, and it's been coming for 10 or more years, is beyond visual line of sight. Right. So right now the FAA says, pilot, you must have eyeball contact up in the air at all times of your drone. Right. You can get some exemptions from them, but they have to be very specific to not do that. When I was running around Iraq and Afghanistan, we were flying them technology wise beyond visual line of sight all the time. But that was a battlefield, right? So, the FAA at the end of the day, they're a safety organization, right? They're really trying to make sure that the skies are safe more than anything else. They're not trying to get new technology in there, because the technology has existed forever. So we're finally looking at the regulatory environment where beyond visual line of sight will allow drones to go farther. Because kind of as Ton said, guys, hobbyists or whatever, if they're out there beyond visual line of sight, they can interfere with helicopters, with airplanes, with all kinds of things that people don't want them interfering with. So they're trying to really build a regulatory environment that will allow people to take these things beyond visual line of sight. It's awesome when it finally hits for my business because, my costs will go way down. I can do way more with less. Right now I have to literally, let's say I've got 50 miles of transmission towers through West Virginia or something like that. My guys have to move, they can maybe go a mile, and still see the drone in the air, maybe. Right. So they have to go drive a mile and hopscotch down the trail to go keep eyes on the drone the entire time it's flying. You get to the point where they can just go beyond visual line of sight, which they could do in those areas safely today. They can sit in one spot and do the whole thing. Right. So that's on that side. On the government side, it all gets into things like, when drones started, you had to control them, and the guy controlling them. And so all the initial counter drone stuff was, how do we get the radio signal that's controlling it stopped, right? That was the initial counter drone stuff. Now, when you look at drones, and this has been for a while, but what's really been emerging is, okay, what if I program the drone 100% before it leaves and I'm not controlling it ahead of time, right? Now there's no link for you to capture. Now you have to somehow kinetically get that drone to drop, right? Or EMP or something like that, right? So those are kind of like a lot of what the military side has been on that side is, the electromagnetic spectrum, and how do we, the Russians are really good at the electromagnetic game. They really are, right? You see that in Ukraine all the time. And it's this cat and mouse game of how do you, so that's really where a lot of the mainstream military is looking right now in their drones, and how do you outfit them to smaller units and stuff like that. And quite frankly, the whole world is paying attention to what's going on, mostly in the Ukraine, and some smaller conflicts too, but mostly in the Ukraine because it's more large scale conflict with how they're using those. And then, I feel like there's probably another part that's the secret squirrels, quiet stuff that's doing shit that I don't even understand yet. I mean, I have some concepts. I'm not even gonna guess what those things are. But those are kind of the three buckets. You got the civilian world. We're way behind because of regulations more than anything. You got the military world, which is mostly the electromagnetic spectrum, and then you got kind of the secret squirrel world. And
well, you just hit on a thing too. The regulations. Drones are heavily regulated here in the United States. So when you say that these hobbyists are flying these drones around, I mean, there's certain restrictions that they have to follow and abide by, laws, guidelines that
there
fall out. That obviously these sightings are are violating those. So they should be able to track those to the perpetrators and know.
Yeah, it's really hard, to be honest with you, especially at night. And you probably have people flying some stuff at night. You know, hell, I mean, Amazon could be flying stuff at night because they don't want people to see it during the day, right? Like, you know, there could be companies out there that are flying and testing this stuff in places that are more, you know, they probably did initial tests out in the middle of the Nevada desert or something, right? But now they probably need to do it in a more familiar area with all the things that happen in a urban city with the radiomagnetics and all the things going on. And so
that's been my theory, is that this is like some kind of like Amazon test. Again, government and corporate, you know, they've combined to test just to see what people's reactions are, and you know, see how they're going to react if they start implementing this in mass delivery. Because I read some article, some guy, because Amazon, I guess, is apparently testing this out somewhere, delivering their packages with the drones, and
they all have to go through.
Some Bubba shot one down. Yeah,
if they're in general airspace, they all have to go through the FAA. You have to be a 107. It's called Part 107. You can Google that. That's the license that you need to be a drone operator. Within that framework, if you want to go outside of what is legal today, you have to ask for an exemption. So a couple well-placed Freedom of Information Act requests could probably find out who's got exemptions in that area that is allowed to fly things. It's probably public somewhere on the FAA's website if you knew where to find it. But then once you get into controlled military airspace, that changes because the people inside those controlled military airspaces have control of that space, and they can let things happen that the FAA can't, you know, stop, right? So those are kind of the two different games, if you will, of how and where you fly it, right? And then the third one in my mind, and you know, I won't lie, I used this one in the early days, is, you know, you find some place where no one's at and you can do whatever the hell you want, right? Like, I mean, I used to do that down on the farm. You know, all the time. We had a big, you know, we had 100 some acres out there. We're in the middle of nowhere, and we would fly the crap out of our stuff testing it when we were building stuff in the early days. And if you remember, Marty, you were here for this one. Do you remember when we did the last machine gun shoot, which I wish we'd do more of them? Do you remember when we shot the drones? The drones were our targets.
Yeah.
I still have video of that.
With the Barrett 50 cal.
Yeah, we had machine guns. I mean, we had belt feds out there shooting at these drones, and they were little DJI drones. They're very hard to bring down. I've got video. You can see we hit one 3, 4, 5 times. The thing's still flying. We take out one engine. It's still, you know, it's sideways, but it's still flying. The only time we got a kill on one of those drones is when we went right through the battery, right? Oh. So they're really hard to take down. So the thought of a guy with a shotgun actually hitting one of these things, even a rifle, little bullet, big sky, it's really hard for me to believe somebody's going to, you know, they're going to kill somebody, you know, 3 streets over, like people have been doing on New Year's Eve lately, which is horrific, by the way. That's my jack wagon, by the way. I'm taking this full circle. My jack wagon is all those people, there are a lot of them in Florida. A little girl got killed on New Year's Eve because people are shooting their guns up in the air, and those bullets fucking come down, right?
Yeah,
and
what goes up comes down. Yeah.
But that's my jack wagon. And
there are laws, people. You cannot shoot your gun just up in the air like that.
Yeah, they killed like a 13-year-old girl or something in Florida, you know, because they're celebratory firing at midnight. And all my tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Arab countries, they all do that. They all shoot at not, I won't say Afghanistan. They're not doing it for New Year's. But in Iraq, they were doing it for New Year's. They were doing it for weddings. They do it for all that stuff. Yeah. Every time they do it, we get casualties in left and right for people that just were doing their thing and got hit by a bullet, right? So it's horrible, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that full circle there, and shedding light on maybe what's going on with these drones. I'd like to get you back on another episode when you've got more time, and maybe we can go into more detail on.
I would love to. I apologize. I got double booked today, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. I'd love to be back, Lefty.
We'll be in touch. I'll call you later on today just to check in with you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks,
Brian.
All right. So there you have it. There's our drone. You guys got anything else to add to the drone discussion there? If not, we'll move on. I just kind of wanted to touch on that because it just perplexes me that the government comes out and states we don't know anything about them, which is complete and utter bullshit. So.
Well, if it was Amazon, then why wouldn't they just say, "Hey, Amazon's testing drones. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's really hard to track objects just from dealing with the FAA for so long. It's really hard for anybody to track objects below 400 feet elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much traffic and other objects below 400 feet. They don't track much, if anything.
Good to know.
All right, we'll move on. Oh, and just another disclaimer: don't shoot at the drones.
Yeah.
Unless they are shooting at you, then you can shoot back. Definitely. Feel free at that point. All right, that's my jack wagon. Who's Ton? I know you got a jack wagon. Rob, you got a jack wagon?
How far back are we going? Like,
there's no
holidays, New Year's.
Oh, we can go.
Everybody.
to the beginning of time.
I'm going back to New York City, 6th Avenue killer. Everyone who said he looks like a real professional when they first saw the video.
Thank you.
Like everyone, literally. And then especially everyone over the next few days who thought he was using some exotic B&T weaponry.
Thank you. I appreciate
All of
that.
Yeah, that guy definitely a jack wagon. And the people who think he's a hero, Ton.
So can I
I'm
bounce
less
off?
mad at them than I am the people that thought it was a B&T.
I like that jab. Thanks, Lefty.
Yeah.
Can I bounce off of that and state my jack wagon? So, along with Rob, my jack wagon and thank you, Rob, because I didn't have a jack wagon until you just mentioned that. Is all the so-called firearm experts. Anytime a shooting happens, and it's on any of those programs, Fox News is just as bad as the rest of them. But these so-called experts that get on there, and I know you guys see them, and you all shake your heads just like I do. It's pathetic. It's pathetic, and I don't understand why they don't actually reach into the industry, to get experts. I did see Collian on one of those shows, and he did an okay job, but I think he felt under pressure to get out what he needed to say in a very short period of time. So I was waiting for him to throw that final punch of knowledge, and he never got the opportunity. But he's the only one that I saw that gave any sort of common sense answer to these stupid questions that they always ask. So
Stephen Gutowski was on CNN. He's a regular contributor there now, and he actually made sense. He was talking about how the footage was blurry. He was talking about how the gun was being cycled, and so what he said made sense. It was like 2 days afterwards, and then I was invited by ABC to do a 2020 special where they spent like 12 hours here, and I think 42 seconds aired. But at least the edit was fair. But yeah, generally. That whole 2 weeks of commentary was hard to watch.
No,
well, it's good to know.
Did they have you on for the 3D printed aspect of it, Rob?
Yeah, I did. So I 3D printed what we knew he did. This was before we knew what the suppressor was. So I had to explain. The idea was to explain how much purposefully, traditionally manufactured firearms parts have to go into. So 3D printed frame, right? But if you don't have this isn't going to do any good. Not to mention all the triggery bits that go into it, right? So explaining that whole process, the idea that it's not like push a button and magically a firearm comes out without any firearms industry or any knowledge there supporting it. And then talking about the suppressor and why the gun probably wasn't functioning properly. So talking about the booster, the Nielsen device and all that. But like I said, they used 47 seconds of it, but at least what they used did refute this concept that the only people that would ever 3D print a gun are people who can't buy one, or prohibited people or people who want to disassociate themselves with the gun afterwards. The fact that this guy could have afforded a gun, had no criminal record, and chose to keep the gun with him, kind of refute that whole ghost gun, nefarious, demonizing thing. So they did put that out, which I was glad that got out.
Yeah.
Nice.
I haven't really heard any more about that in recent news.
I feel like every time this happened in New York, but I mean, this could have happened in Iowa or something, but it seems like every time there's some sort of a shooting and they bring on a so-called expert, it's almost always somebody from the New York Police Department.
Yeah, exactly. That was it.
Oh God.
Yes.
And it's a guy that's
Retired
at a desk
NYPD
somewhere and
detective.
doesn't know. The last time he fired a gun was like during quals 30 years ago. You know, like you don't know anything.
It was a revolver.
It was
This
a
is-
revolver.
This is not a slight on any of the guys, you know, in my PD. I'm sure some awesome officers there or whatever. But when these media agencies bring somebody in, they think that's the guy they need to talk to. It's the last guy I need to talk to.
I was at the Big Rock event this week in Nashville, and I was talking to some friends there, and one of them was a former LE guy, and they were telling stories of negligent discharges by police officers.
Oh, shit sticks, yeah.
I'm going to do a whole show on that. So that's coming up. There's some forecasts for you there, Leadheads. I'm going to do an entire show on negligent discharge stories, this boneheaded shit. So that's coming up. There's one of this guy had jelly from a jelly donut stuck in his service
No, he didn't. No,
that he turned in, and it didn't have a firing pin, and he'd been carrying this around his entire 20 years.
I actually had an officer that pulled me over in New Mexico that had a negligent discharge while he was getting out of his vehicle.
Oh, yeah. So that's coming up. But Ton, who's your jackwagon?
Or John, do you have one?
Yeah, John. We'll go John. I think John's frozen. He's
froze.
had the same look for like 30 minutes. So
John froze.
Man.
Oh, there we go. I'm back.
There he is.
It froze. What's up?
Do you have a jackwagon before I start mine?
I have 2 jackwagons. Am I allowed to have 2 jackwagons?
Oh, of course.
Yes, as many as you like.
Okay. All right. Jackwagon number 1 is probably the most botched release of a handgun I've ever seen in my life. Of course, I love you guys, but how is it that I bought your handgun 3 days before launch on the store shelf and multiple people's Taurus on their new GX2 launch that came out January 2nd? I had a video up and had the launch gun before launch, and multiple people commented that they had also bought the gun before launch. So this has to be the most botched launch I've ever seen in my life. That's jackwagon number 1. I'm sorry, Taurus. I love you guys, but still, how does this happen? I don't know.
Timing.
There was magazines ads out in October.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. GX2. How did you like it? Give us a little quick review on it.
Oh, I loved it. The gun was fantastic. I've got a full review up on my YouTube channel. Gun was fantastic. One of the flattest shooting guns I've shot. It's 13+1, so it's kind of weird because it's kind of in the middle for them between the GX4 carry and their GX4. So, but it's not much smaller than the GX4 carry. But the gun shoots great, very accurate. Seems to be well built. We put 500 rounds through it, so gun's great. Texture's all in the right spot. Trigger's good. Like, good on them for that. But how do you have a gun that somebody could buy before launch is another story. And multiple people bought it before launch.
Because you're special.
I guess I'm special.
Yeah. You're in their elite
so
club.
That's one.
Jackwagon
number 1.
Who's your other?
Number 2. One of the recent, I'm not going to name the publication, but one of the recent publications named a gun that has not been sold yet or on the market their gun of the year for 2024. How can you name a gun, the gun of the year,
2025,
and it's not even been out yet? No, for 2024. They named it the gun of the year for 2024. Exactly. So publications, don't name something the gun of the year for money, because the gun has not sold. It hasn't even hit the market yet.
So what you're saying, John,
is
somebody paid the NRA to pimp their gun.
Basically.
Was it American Rifleman?
Yes.
Was it Guns and Ammo? Was it?
Yeah, I believe it was American Rifleman or Guns and Ammo. It was one of the two. But how you could name something the gun of the year without it selling one singular unit and ever being out for sale it just blows my ever living mind.
because
How
they
about
got
this?
eight, maybe?
Here's another jack wagon for you guys. Oh, nice.
What?
What about the when people post a firearm up that's not been released yet, but the marketing department's kind of getting the wheels turning or whatever. Say they're posting stuff on Friday, the gun's going to be released on Monday. Nobody has one yet, and you got all these people on there like bashing it already.
Oh God!
They don't have one yet. Like, how do you know it's not good?
Well, here's we actually have someone who launched a gun.
Don't even get me started about people that don't have one that know it's no good. Don't even get me started.
I was thinking about you. That's why I said that.
Yeah. Wow.
So
yeah, I sort of get it, right? Like the idea is, I looked at that Taurus, right, and immediately thought that grip looks amazing. But why is that bore axis so high and why is the slide so thick, right? But then John said, I'm guilty of it. John says it's one of the flattest shooting guns he's ever fired. And that makes sense to me, given the way the ergonomics are of that grip and the deep tang and a little bit of a almost kind of tucked in beaver tail it had from the profile. But without having touched the gun, we're all going to form opinions, right? Now, the problem is, how do you present that, right? And how do you share that thought? Because I can share that thought and say, here's what I thought, but that grip looks like it balances out the way the slide is shaped and the way it sits high above the rest of the frame. But I still got to shoot it before I'm going to say, oh, that gun is or isn't anything. And that just kind of comes down to who you listen to. I think the frustration I had with
that's based on a very expert opinion, though. I mean, how many rounds down range do you have with how many different platforms? Like all of them.
A couple, a couple.
Because we never want to hear from a person who has experience, do we?
Right, but I mean, when you're talking about all the yahoos on the internet, they're like, they really.
I'm way more tolerant of yahoos on the internet than I am the pay to play publication game. Right, you'll notice that I think to date, there's more press on Valhalla Training Center, right, that you can still find on the internet, which when we shut down in December of 2007, than there is on the PD10, because I've spent zero advertising dollars with Avidity Arms or PD10. It's all been, friends of mine or people that are interested or people that are genuinely doing content just because they want to create content. Certainly asking a few favors here and there, all that kind of stuff. But there hasn't been $1 of advertising spent on the company or the gun. We spent a lot of money back in the Valhalla days when we first launched and worked with, major companies that are still in the industry, some of the biggest names in the industry, to place ads. And then we got more press. So and I've been part of that, right? Obviously, like at Personal Events Network, we have sponsored videos that we do where people are paying us to talk about their stuff. Now, they don't tell us what to say. They don't script it, but they certainly pay to play in terms of getting placement. I've written articles that way going back to the magazine days. So I get it. But when I get up to a point, when you start naming gun of the year, or when everything on the cover also has 2 full-page advertisements inside the magazine, that's when it does get annoying. It makes it hard. It makes it hard to launch a new company, for sure.
Just showing that.
And then some companies launch themselves.
Tony, is yours going to be like a long rant or?
Is it ever?
No. Yeah. Go ahead. All right.
I have a couple. We're going to start off with one that me and Lefty discussed. People that leave their, the out of office call message on for 6-7 months, and you think they're still out of office in August of this year.
The automatic reply out of office?
Yeah.
And you get one yesterday that was in August of last year?
Yeah. Not mentioning any names or people.
John.
Oh, there he is. You're still out of the office, bro, since August.
Notification.
Still says you're out of the office. You're still out of the fucking office since August.
That's why he looks confused. He's not even in the office.
I want your job.
Since August.
Listen, okay. You've sent me emails. It was just yesterday, and I put on my out of office because I was going into surgery, and I forgot to change the message. So that's my fault.
Since August.
You've been under heavy drugs, so you get a pass. We understand.
And then Chad and Nostradamus are getting thrown under the bus because I still haven't shot the Witness 2311 Match X.
I haven't shot the Match X yet. I haven't, but I have shot the Match. Got it right here, and it shoots really well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit butthurt because I really, really want to shoot the Match X. Oh, look. The Match or the Max. I want to shoot the Match X.
Yeah, the Max X. I definitely.
Yeah, that's the one I want to shoot.
I want the over-under shotgun that they've got, too.
Dude, that thing's sick.
For that.
Yeah. But that's just a mild one. The big jackwagon for the year is the Non-Shooting Sports Association. That's the big one for the year.
These people?
Yeah, them, the Non-Shooting Sports Association. Them jackwagons. We're coming up on the shit show.
It's coming.
And it's going to be another shit show where they're trying to even allow the public into an industry show. They're raising the prices and they're trying to break records. Like the last record they broke was the most exhibitor space occupied, but that includes the restrooms, all facilities, the cooking area,
escalators,
hallway.
That's why they took that space from you guys. They took Brian's secret space because they needed to break the record.
Anything and everything they can do. Attendance records now, we broke attendance records. Well, that includes staff, anybody that's worked at the hotel, the unions, the janitor, the dock workers, the truck drivers pulling in to offload your gear, anything and everything. And now the media is anybody with at least one follower on their social media channel can get in, is considered media.
Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much. I wrote a one-page paper back in high school, so now you're considered media. So, yeah. So the Non-Shooting Sports Federation.
Did you say that they're allowing the public in now?
They're trying to. They put out a email blast to some people to see if they should allow the public in for a ticket price the last day or two to see behind the curtain of what goes on.
No.
I thought they started doing that 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
on all 4 days.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Every year except 2020. 2020 is the best SHOT Show of the last 2 decades.
Exactly.
100%.
The one that was canceled?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't canceled. It was just smaller and postponed.
Just smaller.
Nobody was there.
Remember?
Yeah, and business actually got done.
Yeah.
Was that 2020 or was that 22? I think that was 22.
Or 21.
One of those.
No, 21 was canceled. It was
22
when
22.
there was like nobody there. We had to wear masks and there was mask Nazis everywhere.
It was the year back. Yeah.
I didn't go to that one because of that. That's why.
That's the only time I didn't get to smell people's breath.
It was fine.
Nobody
it was much better. It was worth the few times I was asked to put a mask on. It was worth having to tell the person I was going to do that as soon as I got back to my booth. The words that had to be wasted on that were worth it for the actually getting business done.
Yeah.
I figured a way around it. If you just carried around an empty Red Bull can and acted like you were sipping the whole time, they didn't say a word to you.
Same thing on airplanes. As long as you're drinking, you didn't have to have your mask on.
No, I'm waiting for this year because all these one follower social media and people are going to be hitting up the booth the very first day to come and ask for free shit. What's free? They don't care about the product. What's free? Or I have an upcoming social media channel that's going to be better than everybody else. Groundbreaking. You need to send me free shit. So that's the Non-Shooting Sports Federation Foundation.
Is your jackwagon.
Fuck you guys. And the charges you're sending me for all the extras. Kiss my fucking ass.
Don't play that game.
So day one, the NSSF police will be at Tun's booth
again,
like they did the who was it? Was it Quarter Circle 10 did a shit show patch the one day or 1 year? It was 2020. They did a shit show patch with what was it? It was a really cool patch, and
you Maria was like,
yeah, it's on the wall. Where's it at? It's over here. There's a shit show patch, and
It's
Maria
not-
said
speaking of
that the NSS of Lure.
Chase just gave me this and told me to give it to you.
Yes, I've seen it.
I
I'm
love
so
that.
excited about that.
Hot off the press. They stink. They smell like ink, but it's all yours.
Well, let's see.
Smells
Let's
like
see if you
flag
can see
to
it.
me.
Let's see. This is the patch wall. If you haven't seen it yet, it's
Let me
pretty
zoom in
freaking
on
big.
Do it again.
Holy shit sticks.
Couple
It
patches.
goes all the way up and all the way down. It's all the way across. It's starting up there now, so we're getting.
Where's your talking lead
more.
patch?
I don't
Yeah,
have a
Luke.
talking lead patch.
Do you have a
I don't
Pincus
either.
patch?
I don't either.
What?
I gave
What'd
all.
you say?
all
You got a Pincus patch or a ton patch?
Yes, he has my patch up on
I
the
don't
wall.
even think I have a.
Do you
talking
have the
patch.
Do you have the finally 2023 finally patch?
No.
All right. Well,
No.
maybe I may have one laying around here to be on
My
the
patch
wall.
is up there.
All right, so here's my
Your patch is right here.
here's my final jack wagon, and let me do this. So
Aww. Aww.
companies who lack imagination and innovation that have been around for hundreds of years. I don't know how long Ruger's been around, but I mean, how do you say, hey, you made a better gun than us than making their gun? The Ruger RXM is the Glock 20, not Glock 19 Gen 3.
Have you shot one?
What's it matter? It's a Glock. I've shot Glocks before. Yeah,
Have you shot that one?
shoot them all the time. Have you?
I haven't.
I haven't shot it.
I haven't.
But it's just the mere fact that, okay, the patent ran out. Let's make this gun that already exists. And there's blue bazillion other companies that have been making this knockoff clone of the Glock 19 Gen 3. I mean, you're a gun manufacturer. You've been making your own firearms for how long? Can't you come up with something new, different, innovative? Why do you gotta clone something that already exists that's been redone 5 bazillion different times already? And
Because they're making probably millions of
because
dollars
you can
off
bring
of
the
it.
trigger group out, you can pull the trigger group out. Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, people are loving this thing. Again, it's the same
Well,
thing.
people are loving it, Chad, because they don't like Glock, and this gives
People
them
love
a reason
it.
to love
They love
Glock.
it or hate
and
it.
not
and
buy
They don't even
Glock.
have one,
So
right?
that
People love it. They love and hate this thing, and they don't even have one yet.
To your point, exactly.
Like, wait till you get it and shoot it, and then you can either shrug your shoulders and go, I'll keep.
I don't
my
need
gun."
to shoot it. I've had it in my hand. I've looked at it. I've taken it apart. It's a Glock. It's a Gen 19 Glock.
Well, then you have more
Very
experience
Glock
than most
19.
people on this gun.
Well, now, but the question is, so from the shooter experience, you're probably right. It's probably 99. It's not like Shadow. I've said for years now, Shadow Systems makes the best Glock that's on the market, right? They have taken it to another level, much like there are much better 1911 style guns than Colts made for on the market for a long time, right? So there are better ARs, right? So, but this thing, I am curious about the chassis, the way they're doing the insert chassis, and it's a little bit more than a money grab because of that. If it were just the patent ran out, they're going to do their own thing, and it was drop in parts and it was drop on everything else, and they didn't change the internals at all, then it would be a big eye roll. They're going to make more money than I am as a firearms manufacturer on that gun alone than I will probably over PD10s in the next 5 years. So I get the business aspect if it was just a copy, but it's not a copy. It's not a straight copy. So in that sense, I'm really curious about what's going on inside there.
It's a clone.
Well, also the
I
grip
expect more from a
the grip
company
is-
called Ruger that's coming out with a Glock clone. That's my point. If this was a Shadow Systems or somebody else that's taking their twist and doing it, but this is a major manufacturer who has existing guns, existing patents, But yet they
with
feel the need.
Magpul, right? And let's not forget, Magpul is very proud to be doing this with them. And I think a lot of people were hoping Magpul was going to do their own gun at some point and become a firearms manufacturer.
Yeah, which I could have understood that if Magpul took this.
Which it wouldn't surprise me if that's how this started. It would not surprise me if that's exactly how this started. And then Magpul said, you know what? We don't want to mess with being a firearms manufacturer. Let's work with one that knows how to package, ship, deal with the regulations, deal with ITAR, deal with all the other headaches that come with running a gun company.
And let me be perfectly clear. I love Ruger. I like Ruger's products. I love their guns. It's just that disappoints me to see this.
Well, when I look at that gun, my impressions of it, I don't have one. I can't really determine whether it's a good gun or not. But from what I'm gathering, from what I've seen about it, people that have shot it, they're saying that they have addressed issues that the reason people don't like Glocks is because of the grip angle. They don't like the sights. They don't like this and the other. So that they've addressed those particular issues.
Shadow systems. It's been done, like Rob said.
Yeah, but hold on. How much is this? How much is a Shadow Systems Glock?
I don't know.
Well, this thing's like $350.
It's $499.
Well, what are you going to pick it up at a gun store? What are you going to buy it for?
I'm not going to buy it, but
$400. Like
I would like to invite Ruger to
get
follow
a Gen
Avidity
3
on
Glock
speed.
19 for that. So
I would like to see them now drop the file for the frame into the space so that 3D printer enthusiasts can print the frame and buy the chassis. That would be a bold American gun company move. If they came out, followed the Avidity Arms lead, put the file for the frame out there, and then put a link on their website to buy the parts so you can build your own at home, numbers or not. That would be a bold move. I'd love to see them do that.
Challenge made.
Well,
now here's the thing. I'm not saying it's Chad. I'm not saying it's a bad gun either. I'm not saying it's a good gun. I'm not saying it's bad. I am disappointed. You know, my point is I'm disappointed that a company like Ruger did a clone of a Gen 3 Glock 19. So that's my point.
I mean,
the
everyone else
they went in and they made it better and they did all this. And I could care less. Doesn't matter. I'm disappointed in them.
I want one.
I'll inevitably get one.
And I'll shoot it and I'll be like, yeah, you're right. Whatever. And I'll put it in the safe and say I have one. But they're $100 cheaper, right, than a Glock 19?
They're $500 cheaper.
You can get a Gen 3 Glock 19 for the same price.
A used one
with cooties on it.
Maybe not. You get a police issued one that's got jelly donut.
That's going to be a 40 though. That's going to be a Glock 22 or 23.
Yeah. That's true. But you can change the barrel out. All right. That's my jack wagon. My hero. I've got a hero.
Is it Ruger?
It's Magpul. It's Magpul.
I'm team up with Magpul and come out with a clone. And I'm not really. Is he a hero? Is he not? I mean, he could be an anti-hero. I don't know. But this guy that blew himself up supposedly in front of Trump Tower, trying to expose some war crimes supposedly that were done back in 2019, I think it was. I can't remember. What's the guy's name? Greg or something Lively? I don't know. Matt. That's his name.
Matt Levelsberger?
Yeah, Matt Levelsberger.
You have to know his name if you're going to hero him.
Yeah. I can't remember your name.
I mean, it's your show. That's fair. That's fair.
But see, you jumped in and saved me, so there you go. That's why I have people like
I read because I read.
Levelsberger.
No.
The DNA apparently doesn't match, so we don't know that it's actually him or not. But
citation, please.
He sent Sean Ryan and some other guy an email prior to him doing this with why he was doing it and all the breakdown. Sean Ryan did an episode on it, so you guys can go listen to the Sean Ryan show and hear the backstory on this. But supposedly the whole thing around it was he's trying to expose some war crimes that were done back in 2019. So if that turns out to be the case, again, I'm not saying it is, then he's my hero. There you go.
I mean, it'd be a lot easier just to write a letter I mean, blow yourself up, kill yourself, and blow yourself
He
up.
did.
Like,
He did write a letter, and then he blew himself up.
Okay, well, there's nothing heroic about that.
Supposedly, he blew himself up.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
After shooting himself allegedly with a Desert Eagle 50.
A Desert Eagle, yeah. And
which is my new EDC.
I think that's a great advertisement for the Cybertrucks too. I think there are going to be more Cybertruck sales after that, because they're indestructible. Supposedly, bulletproof, bomb-proof. Anybody else got any heroes?
Oh dear God!
I think that thing was bomb-proof. I don't think anyone drove it off the lot there, did they? After it blew up.
Well, the frame and everything was intact. It just blew out the roof.
The flowers are still standing.
The tires are still drivable. I think
I don't know. It was a shape charge. It went right straight up because of that incredible structural rigidity of the bed.
Of the body, yeah, because it's bulletproof.
It was no surprise that he wasn't an 18C when that was the best explosive charge he could come up with was fuel and
fireworks.
And he supposedly was on some military reality TV show with Tim Kennedy, and I actually saw that video years back. I remember it because they showed clips of it. I saw clips of it.
I did see the Kennedy interview where he was saying he was a great guy and seemed squared away and all that.
Yeah, they had done some sort of a military reality TV show together or something. I don't know, years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think the fact that, however, the fact that was his recourse, that was what he was driven to, that's the tragedy there. All the jokes about the gun choice or fireworks aside, right? Like, I think that's the thing is, why was that where that guy was in his life, and who around him could have intervened? And I think that's just another reminder to all of us with any friends, family, whatever, military, law enforcement, civilian, bookkeeper, whatever. Ask, intervene, get involved, reach out. Right.
Well, and that gets into the mental health part of it too. If he was actually suffering from some sort of mental health issue, again, yeah, like you said, that part of it, tragic, definitely. And he felt the need that he had to do this to reach out to address his TBI or, whatever the demons were that were in his head. But if this does actually come out to be true, that's going to be interesting too. We'll see. The plot thickens.
Yeah.
To say. So that's it for my heroes. Like I said, you guys got any heroes? And we'll move on to forecast.
Yeah, I got a hero. I got a couple, actually.
All right.
The medical staff at the Sharp Chula Vista Medical Center in San Diego, who are taking care of my grandfather in his last few days of life. Most likely Kaylee, the charge nurse on the 6th floor. She has been absolutely amazing to my family and my grandfather. And my Aunt Janet, who has been spending every night with my grandfather while he's getting ready to pass.
Nice.
Real heroes.
Nice from what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Been spending a lot of time. I just flew back from California, spending some time with my grandfather, who just fell ill. We just found out he was ill a week or so before Christmas, and he is about to pass any day now. But the medical staff there have been amazing, taking care of him, and my Aunt Janet's been there with him every day and every night. They've been taking really good care of him. So definitely
we are definitely you're in our prayers, and your grandfather. I mean, he's a tough old bird, man.
God. Yeah, you wonder where I get my sixth sense of humor. He woke up from surgery after kidney surgery. They put stents in his kidneys. The doctor said, "Frank, you had problems coming out of anesthesia." He looked up and looked at me and the doctor and said, Fuck, I'm still alive. There was no light. That's
There was no light.
like I was like, all right.
No light.
He's not 93 and 3 cancers that are all stage 4 going into renal failure and cirrhosis of the liver. All he said was, fuck, there was no light. I'm still alive. All right.
Damn.
Grandpa, 93. But
So what's your grandpa's name?
Frank.
Frank. He's my hero.
Yeah. He's tougher than nails.
Yeah, he is.
Yep, those are my heroes.
Very good. Now, anybody else got heroes?
I've got one. Shout out or hero of the week goes to my boss Kaylee, who just had her 3rd kid, who had to be hospitalized again. She's pulling through. She's still working. I don't know how she's working, but she's working and doing it. So Kaylee is one strong cookie, and they wired her differently. But she's already back to work after kid number 3, and is ready to go.
It's not her first rodeo.
No, she had twins the first time. So
Oh shit.
Ooh.
Yeah, it'd be difficult.
Yeah, don't mess with her.
Well, Kaylee, there you go. You can ride on Lead Force One for all that labor you've gone through, producing great Americans, I'm sure. All right, anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Rob, you don't have any heroes?
There's so many, too many to list. All the great people that helped us in Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee and Southern Virginia during the hurricanes. People sent in all kinds of volunteer efforts and donations, and it's still going on. There's still a lot of rebuilding going on around here. So they get my vote.
Yeah, especially this time of year too, where the weather's getting really shitty. A lot of those people are still homeless, and they could use some support. Definitely. Do you have a network set up to where people can go and donate still?
There's a lot of major organizations that have kind of taken over now. When we were dealing with the first few weeks, it was all very regional, and it was, bring it to this guy's. We had a real estate office in Saluda, North Carolina, that was sort of taking care of all the volunteer work. We had a Green River Adventures that did like kayaking and tubing and all that kind of stuff. That became the center for donations after we shut down the city building that we were running. So there was a lot of it moving around. Now most of it's moved to churches and major organizations, national organizations, Red Cross, things like that. The hard part right now is the bureaucracy has caught up, right? So there was just a lot of, I'm no, tradesman kind of guy. Like I can maybe fix a little something around my house or whatever. And I've taken on this homesteading adventure here. But I'm not a commercial contractor, but I was up on roofs helping guys who knew what they were doing, patch roofs and stuff like that. Now the bureaucracy is caught up. And some of this, of course, is blown out of proportion on the internet. But there are issues of people trying to get things fixed, people trying to get into homes, people trying to bring trailers out on the properties, things like that for temporary housing, dealing with the code enforcement issues and the permits process and all that is getting to be very annoying and troublesome and cumbersome for a lot of people. But during the emergency, people were just doing what they needed to do. Now it's a few months afterwards, people are still dealing with the aftermath, and some of that bureaucracy is getting in their way. But so those would be the jack wagons. The heroes are the ones just getting it done.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're still struggling with insurance companies too, trying to get.
The paperwork on the FEMA side, or whether you're getting the money from the government, you're getting the money from the insurance company. I know some people who got paid out very quickly and got the money they needed to do what they needed to do. We know a lot of people were volunteering. It's like anything else. You had some guys I was going out with some crews that were really talented guys with chainsaws and backhoes and everything, getting people's property cleared and getting trees off of vehicles and out of driveways and off homes in some cases, who were just getting it done and just they didn't want anything. They didn't want a glass of tea. And then you had other guys showing up in, some old lady's yard saying, "Hey, I see you have a tree over your fence. We can clear that for you for like $6,000, and then insurance companies coming in and saying, well, in some cases we'll get to you in 60 days. In some cases, here's a check for $15,000, do what you need to do. And the guy is like, I don't need $15,000 to fix this problem. But the insurance companies are stroking checks. So it's, anytime you're dealing with the bureaucracy, you're dealing with the bureaucracy. But the heroes are the ones, like I said, they're just getting it done.
Do you recommend people donate to the Red Cross?
Red Cross has been doing really good work down here. They're not the first ones on the scene. They're one of the cool things. Like they showed up maybe 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks into it with like prepackaged cleanup kits for like, sanitizing your home, dealing with just the messy stuff when you're moving back in. If you got a flood, they showed up with fire extinguishers and smoke detectors and carbon monoxide CO detectors for people who were all of a sudden using propane heat, or maybe just an old wood stove or whatever they were using, whereas they had electric heat before, but it became a lot easier to just put a wood stove in, or to work off of some kind of a propane heater. So they brought in fire extinguishers, and so it's like you can tell they've been through this before and they know what's coming next. So for stage 2, and now even what I would call like the long aftermath through this winter, it's Western North Carolina, but it's been in the 20s here. I think 6 out of the last 7 nights, and it will be for the next week too. So there's a lot of people out there doing what they can to keep warm, and something like a carbon monoxide and a smoke detector and a fire extinguisher package isn't on the top of anybody's list, I think, in the aftermath, but it could be saving lives this week, So Red Cross, I will say they did really good. That World Kitchen, they were in the news like 6-8 months ago because they had some people killed in Gaza.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think that's right.
They were World Kitchen Center or something like that. They've been doing really good work all around the area. And anybody, if you hit the Google, you'll see there are plenty of people doing lots and lots of good work in this region. I actually was working, you guys know Jared over at Guns and Gadgets. I had a bunch of people from my Colorado crew out there. I just relocated out here, but they got together a trucking center, got together literally 2 semi-tractor trailers full of donations and valuable, useful stuff. But because I-40 got wiped out coming into Asheville, I coordinated with Jared over in Johnson City, Tennessee, and actually had him receive those 2 trailers and kind of hit it from the north instead of, just for the sake of a photo op saying, hey, bring it to us. Routing through Atlanta or something and going around the mess of I-40. So there's just a really good network of people, and Jared been doing good work. Johnny B's been doing really good work over there in Tennessee. A lot of people in the firearms community working together to get resources where they need to go.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody who's had a part in helping those storm victims. But yeah, they're still struggling. They still need help. So don't forget about them. Even though the media has, and the government, don't forget about them. All right, Chad had to take a leak, so he'll be joining us. He'll be coming back. He'll take a little potty break.
There was a mannequin. What happened to the stand-in he had during the pre-show? That would have been good.
I like that mannequin. I need to get one.
I think John had one too there for a while. Yeah.
He had surgery, so that was a stunt double.
There, he's back.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Just in time. So now we're going to break out the crystal ball, or the chrome domes, because we got 2 perfect crystal ball heads joining us right now. So there you go. Yeah. So you guys lean over so we can see what our future.
Yours is decorated. That's not fair.
Is that something you've ever considered doing, Rob? You ever considered?
Like a Fabergé. It's like a Fabergé dome.
It helps you look into the future.
So SHOT Show's coming up, and supposedly SHOT Show is where everybody's going to release their latest and greatest. What's coming out for 2025 for the firearms industry, outdoor industry. I don't think they've expanded it past that. They don't have fishing there, do they?
They have purses last year, so they have turquoise and beaded purses. So who knows what kind of shit they got this year?
You hate SHOT Show, Ton.
27 years of this shit.
I got you beat by like just 1 or 2 though.
Yeah.
The bitterness is there. It's real.
Dude,
yeah.
Man.
So with Firebird's going to be there, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So, I can't tell you what booth number because I don't remember.
So have you guys rat-holed any of your technology, any new releases that you're going to be doing at SHOT Show? And I know, last year we did the grand reveal of the signal markers.
No, because after all the years of doing SHOT Show, everybody releases their shit in November and just re-releases it at SHOT Show. I'm over that. If people are going to buy it, they're going to buy it. So sell it for Christmas and keep selling it for SHOT Show.
Okay. Rob, is Avidity going to have a booth set up?
No, we are going to be in several different booths set up, displaying with some of our collaborators, whether they're showing off their optics, or showing off their holsters, showing off their laser, showing off their light attachment, something like that. I again, as a guy who's been in the industry forever and worn a whole bunch of different hats and a bunch of different businesses, Avidity is really, separate from all that, separate from the training company. It's separate from Personal Defense Network, and it's a startup. We're treating it like a startup. So we can't afford SHOT Show. We did the GOA show, which was a great show in Knoxville. John helped us get into there. We did TriggerCon this year. We will do a couple of smaller shows again in 2025, but we just, quite frankly, can't afford or justify, I guess, the expense if we did kind of say, okay, here's this pile of money. What are we going to do? Are we going to continue to improve? We're going to do more R&D, or are we going to go ahead and bite the bullet and buy some advertising in traditional publications, things like that, or SHOT Show? SHOT Show would probably be pretty low on our list, and because of it's a $20,000 check, easy for us to be at SHOT Show.
Yeah,
that's for those who are going.
That's just to do a booth. It's not travel and everything.
To get a booth. Yeah. To be in a booth. I mean, it's going to cost us a minimum of that. So, I'll be there wearing a whole bunch of different hats, and we're certainly proud to have the PD10s, at all the places. There'll be Viridian. I believe we'll have one there. We'll have one at the Gideon booth. We'll have one with TAC Rig. There'll be a few of them floating around. Probably I don't know if Crossbreed will have one. They usually don't have Firearms in their booth. But I know we were at G Code last year, a couple other places.
Yeah, for those who are listening and that are going, definitely check out that PD10. It is on the Firebird range every day, and it is actually a badass pistol. I love that thing. Shoot the piss out of that thing on a daily basis. Yeah, we beat.
And you just built up an AR, right, Marty? One of our ASARs. Yeah, we were in the Nemo booth because our ASAR is a collaboration with Nemo. But you're one of the very few people that actually got a lower that we said, go ahead, build your own.
Yeah, and I did that in collaboration with Mission First Tactical. So it was a Mission First Tactical Avidity Arms build. It turned out great. I've posted pictures of it on social media and whatnot. But that's something that you guys, again, talking about where the firearms industry is headed, is you guys started off with your pistol,
the PD10.
Yep.
Yeah, the PD10. I was trying to get a picture of it here for those who haven't seen it. And you've gotten into the AR aspect of it. So are you guys thinking, are you seeing that the AR industry is the way to go now, or is it?
Yeah, well, the thing with the AR, if I can, it is kind of like going back to that Ruger conversation, right? I did not want to do just another AR. So, but we knew that there's obviously money to be made. There's a market there, and what no one has done, and again, it boggles my mind, an internally funneled magwell. Plenty of people have done the opening relief cut, so you get more leverage for clearing malfunctions or whatever, less space, easier to find the magwell opening. But internal funneling has never been done, and I've been doing it with a Dremel and with some 3D printed stuff for years, just to make my guns, easier to load. And when we talked about, could we just take the technology that exists, right, an AR, not to have to build a whole new rifle, bring the magwell, internally funneled magwell, to market. I sent out a call to my buddies over there at Nemo, who I've worked with on a lot of different projects over the years, and Bill King over there, who even Mag Tactical. I've got one of the original mag guns down there, the Air 15 that we did back in the day. With IC Training Company and Mag, and said, would you guys be interested in collaborating? And they said, sure. Haven't done it yet, but we want to do more of that kind of stuff. And we got their Battle Light upper and put it on our lower, and hooked up obviously with Mission First, because they're big, good friends of mine. Love those guys. Love this stock, the minimalist stock, and Black Collar's awesome grip, which gives a really comfortable, good grip angle, and brought this to market. It's definitely not the future of Avidity Arms, but it was a way to bring what is truly a unique design to the market without having to reinvent the wheel on ARs. So that was kind of our big thing that we did last year. And this year, it's status quo for us. We're continuing. We did release the 30 Super Carry after that. So last year at SHOT Show, the big thing was the ASAR. After that was the 30 Super Carry last summer. But we don't have anything at SHOT Show this year. We're status quo, pushing through to what we hope will be a great 2025 and allow us to recoup some of that initial investment and kind of push past launch phase to bring the next thing to market. And I think everybody knows the next thing, which we already have the prototypes that we've been shooting for a while, is the double stack, bringing that double stack to market, which we're really excited about.
Very nice. So you're doing a double stack on the PD10.
Yeah. And it's we've got my prediction for getting kind of circling back to that idea is I do think we are going to see, and it may not be this year. I would love to see it by the end of this year. I'd love to see it in a few weeks when we get to SHOT Show, is more support for the 30 Super Carry. I think the 30 Super Carry round is way undervalued. I know I kind of rolled my eyes at it. Why do we need this? Until I really looked into it. And then having done it, right, again, talk about all these companies out there, big companies that can do kind of anything they want. I know that we were able to make the engineering leap to put the 30 Super Carry into our 9mm gun. I expect other companies had to have at least looked at it to realize it's not that hard, especially I'm sure for a bigger company that does that kind of stuff all the time, to come up with conversion kits, drop-on slides, or whole new designs around the 30 Super Carry. And I think we'll see more of that because it's, when I look at like the 5.7 and the kind of weird resurgence or first surgence, if you will, after 20 something years that round is seen over the last few years, it's a novelty round. It's a niche round. I've got one of the original weird curved front grip, the trigger guard things from FN. I have one of the originals, and I just recently picked up a stowaway single shot from Dark Mountain Arms right down the road here in Fletcher, North Carolina. Single shot, cool little fold away, stowaway bolt action gun they've got in 5.7. We know a lot of guns. Ruger, you talked about Ruger earlier, they came to market with one, and other companies have as well. But again, it's kind of a novelty round. The 30 Super Carry
5.7,
deserves at least that much attention.
Did something at the 5.7, and supposedly
and they're cool guns. They're fun guns.
Something new coming to market too. I don't know at SHOT Show.
Well, did they ever bring that? Didn't they have like a MP7 version kind of mock off with a 5.7? Wasn't that something they were talking about last year? Or am I imagining that?
No, that was the P90 kind of deal. Is that the one you're talking about? The top loading?
I don't know. I thought there was an MP7 looking gun.
Maybe that's what they're going
to company
try to release.
5.7.
It was Palmetto.
Palmetto. Okay, was that? Yeah, Palmetto. So I knew that was out there. Did that ever come to market?
It's supposedly going to come to market second quarter.
No, was it gun of the year by any chance last year?
No, it was not gun of the year.
In shooting Illustrated.
They've already called it gun of the year for 2025. They've already got the magazine and everything out for that.
But anyway, I think 30 Super Carry. That's what I'm excited. I would like to see more support for the 30 Super Carry. Our double stack will be a 22+1. That's pretty cool.
With the Super Carry or 9?
Yeah. No, it'll be 18+1 and 9, 22+1 in the prototype ones that I'm shooting now are 22+1, 30 Super Carry. We've toyed with the idea of the mid-size. I think that's the new thing. John, you said something about the Taurus gun kind of being in the middle. I think if you look at what like Canik is doing with the MC9 LS, if you look at what SIG's doing with the 365, just keeps getting bigger, but not quite as big as a 320, which is a big bulky gun. We see a lot of these kind of middle-sized guns with what traditionally would be full capacity, 15 plus rounds in the guns that are smaller than a Glock 17, narrower than a Glock 17-19. I think that we'll see more and more of those types of things. And that's something that I've toyed with the idea of is, as when push comes to shove, when the money's there and we really get ready to bring this double stack to market, do we do this full size duty gun that I've been shooting the prototypes of, or do we find a middle ground around something like the MC9 LS magazine or the 365 magazine size that will give us a mid-size gun that is thicker than the PD10, but not as thick as a traditional double stack, but still gives 15 rounds. And that's why I say the prototypes we're shooting now are 18+1 and 22+1. But would it make more sense to do a mid-size gun that is really trendy right now, which we obviously weren't on trend with our launch? Well, thinner than that, though. Far more ergonomic. Yeah, but to your point, I think that size gun makes sense, right? If you look at the PD-10 next to a 19, I mean, this is just a 19 frame. I mean, it's there, right? It's the same kind of thing. I was carrying a Glock 48 before the PD-10 was ready, right? But I was carrying it with shield mags, which gives us, which gave us that 15 plus 1. I still can't believe that Glock hasn't, just said, you know what, maybe we were wrong and done a metal magazine. A lot of people, when the PD-10 came out, and said, well, gee, people were comparing you to the Glock 48. Now that Glock 48 has the shield mags, can't you just do a shield mag? Well, we are so much thinner than the 48 because we're using a metal magazine from Go. I think that is the future, right? The future, short-term future, is the more and more mid-size guns that hold full-size gun capacity, but are thinner than that double-stack Glock was, thinner than obviously like a Beretta 92 was, thinner than the 320 is.
You're
so
thinking
I think that's something we'll think about doing.
You're thinking that the target is to do the super thin guns, but instead of a micro size, a mid size.
Yeah, like so the PD-10 is super thin, right?
Yeah.
So that's it. So that's a super thin gun. I'm thinking a stagger stack on like a Glock 48 or the MC9 LS. If you that's a little bit thicker than the 48. I guess this is where the PD-10 belongs, thinner than both of those. Yeah. So somewhere between this and the MC9 is where the 48 lives. And with modern design, you can certainly get a gun that'll hold 15 or 16 rounds at the Glock 48 size. Obviously, but you look at what SIG's doing with 365. I mean, I saw somebody online. I'm sure it's plenty of people have said it out loud. Is how about we just stop with the 320 and just let that fade away, or let that be a military law enforcement duty gun only, and focus on the 365 line expanding for the civilian market. No reason for them to throw the 320 away, but I get the sentiment from the internet, because the trend really is to that stagger stack, what we'll call a slim double stack design. I think we'll just see more and more of those. And then going back to 30 Super Carry is a perfect round for that design. And I get that nobody's ready to launch a gun around 30 Super Carry. While Vista would love to see that happen, you can do it easily enough. You can launch a gun in 9 that may be optimized for the 30.
Gotcha.
Rob, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, okay, so I've got these 3 sitting next to me. So this is the GX4. That's your micro gun, real small, but this might be too small for somebody. Well, then they came out with the GX4 Carry. Well, that's like a Hellcat Pro. It's a little thicker, it's still thin, but it's got 15 rounds. Well, now you've got the GX2, which they're double. These are all 3 double stack, but you've got the GX2 here, which is, I mean, it's slightly smaller. It's not much wider. You've got a shorter barrel profile, so it's a smaller gun, but it's in that middle between the two, where if this is too big and the other one's too small, this is just right. And a lot of people have asked, like, why would they do this gun in a 13 round when you can get the 15 round? Well, this gun will take the 15 round magazine. So if you want capacity, you've got capacity. If you want a smaller gun, you've got this. If you want a bigger gun, you got this. I see it, that middle section, taking off.
So you think that's where the future's headed with the handguns? Think that's
Chad, what's going on? Where are you at, Chad? I'm curious about Chad's thoughts on the 30.
We just released a gun called the Influencer X. It's built on a 1911 platform. It's 38 Super, and that one is selling more than the 10 millimeter, more than the 9 millimeter, more than the 45 by like double, which is a little surprising to us. So I have no idea.
Yeah, there's not much support for 38 Super anymore on the market, so that makes sense. It's a cool round. There isn't much out there. Have you guys looked at 30 Super Carry?
We haven't, as far as I know, but I'm not on the product development side of things. I just market whatever they hand me.
Sell what you're told.
Yeah, but I'm also relatively new here, so and they don't really know a whole lot about my shooting experience background. So hopefully that will, be able to start working in the product development side of things. But I know that over when I was at Caltech, they were working on some 30 super carry options. I don't know if they're going to release any of that stuff, but George seemed to think that it was such a small niche thing, which is kind of what he does. So if they do something, I'm interested to see what that looks like.
I was going to say that's their niche is
right. Yeah.
Bring stuff to market that nobody wants, right? Yeah. Nobody asked for.
Yeah. Lefty, click on that match X.
Who what?
Click on that match X.
Oh, are you wanting to lust over that? Is that?
Yes.
I'm not.
Just click on
gun
that.
porn for ton. Is that?
Yes. This is this moment.
It's such a nice shooting pistol.
God,
let's do that, Chad. Because I was going to get into this. I've had the opportunity to.
Thank you.
To try out a few of the.
John, you are wearing pants, right?
Shorts.
And I have tried the match. I haven't shot the match X. I mean, it's the only difference really is between the two is it the
integrated? Yeah, the integrated comp, and then the sights are a little different. Front sights different.
Front sights are a little bit different.
Yeah, but you get a full rail. 2011 platform. We call them 2311s. But yeah, this is it's the affordable staccato basically. So yeah, MSRP on these that gun is sub 1,000. The Match X is right at 1,000, 1,040 or something. So yeah, the industry counterparts are 2,500 plus. So
yeah, and
it's just such a badass.
Again, smooth, flat shooter. The trigger reset on this thing is insane. I mean, it just goes and goes. As long as you get your finger there, it's going to keep going. Very light.
Yeah, it's bull barrel, bushingless. That rear sight cap, it comes off, and you can direct mount any RMSC footprint optic you want on there. That's kind of nice. Yeah, it's got nice grip texturing. I mean, they knocked it out of the park with these. So this would be, I guess, this is the generation of guns that have come out since I've been here. So this is all new to me, but there was previous generation of the Witness 2311 line that this is sort of taking over.
Yeah,
with better grades. Yeah,
because I run the Witness right now, but that's just freaking badass.
And then the Disruptor, I had an opportunity to shoot this.
Yeah, it's a nice striker fired pistol, half 28 threaded barrel. It looks the part, right? Get some nice slide cuts on there. The trigger's not half bad for a mass produced striker fire.
Yeah, it's a decent trigger.
Yeah, capacity's good.
It's not anything that I'm gonna immediately want to go out and change, but I mean it was nice. I didn't really notice anything bad about it.
Again, optics ready. Any RMSC goes, take that plate off and drop it right on there.
Yep.
No back style sights, all the standard stuff you'd want in a striker fire polymer pistol, I guess. Shoots great, but the price, I mean, it's insane how affordable these things are.
Yeah, what's the price point on these?
I think that is the MSRP is $449, I think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Hang on a second.
Now, with that being said, talking about these guns, I mean, you had these last year.
449 is MSRP. Go ahead.
Okay. Are there plans for, because you guys will be at SHOT Show, right?
Correct. Yep.
Are there plans for anything new released at SHOT Show? Are you in that ball game?
No, everything that these are basically the new releases, but these have all been, except for the Match X, which just started shipping, I think last week. Everything else has been shipping since October. So yeah, they're out there. Whether people know about them or not, I'm not sure, but they seem to be sending pallet after pallet of guns out. So yeah, that's good news.
Now,
catching on.
EAA imports these. These are Gersons, and talk a little bit about EAA's business model. How you guys operate.
Yeah, so
you're not manufacturing your own firearms.
No, but the owner here, Keith Bernkrant, he's he started EAA 35 years ago with a buddy of his, Paul, who's also still here. They import these Gerson pistols. He used to import stuff from Russia, during the whole AK boom and all that stuff. But I guess they've somewhat recently landed on Gerson, and it's a good relationship apparently between Keith and them. He's over there all the time in Turkey. He's very hands-on. He doesn't just tell them what he wants and then they design something and send it to us. He's over there overseeing a lot of this stuff. And then they'll get working prototypes done up. They usually send a handful over here. And then Paul, his business partner, is the gun guy. So he gets his hands on them, test fires them, checks for accuracy, reliability, whether we're promising the proper trigger weight, all of those little details. And then he comes, reports that back to Keith. And if everything is good, then they go ahead with production. Or it's sort of a pre-production line. So then they produce a handful of them more, just to check the consistency with everything. Make sure that the trigger is staying where it's supposed to be. Make sure that the safety detents are all consistent with each other and all those type of things. So yeah, they stay on top of the manufacturing process. So they're basically American designed firearms and produced by Gerson in Turkey, and then we import them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You do more than pistols too. You do the shotguns.
We do. Yeah. We've got a line of shotguns. There hasn't been a whole lot of, hoopla about this since I started here. We've done a little bit of advertising with them, so I'm not extremely. But a lot of the customers, you guys are probably more familiar with them than I am. But there's. I've
got the Gobbler. I've got a Gobbler.
Yeah, that thing's sick.
Yeah, they're inertia-driven shotguns, like Benelli-based platforms. But again, like a fraction of the cost. They're reliable. The quality is all there. I think they're great shotguns. Just handling them here, and then of course all the pistol line. The newer of the pistol line are just phenomenal. I've had my hands on all of those, so I can tell you about that experience.
Yeah, and also got to try this the MC
14. Yeah, that's the 14T tip up. It's a great pistol for people with disability. They can't rack the slide. Yeah, there you go. The tip up barrel. So you drop your round in there, stick your loaded mag in, close the barrel down, and you're good to go. This particular variant is a second generation of the 14T, and it's got the threaded barrel. It's also half 28. If you have fun putting whatever muzzle device on that. It's got really nice G10 style grips, and it's got a full rail.
Now these are all metal framed.
Correct.
Firearms,
except for that's a polymer striker.
This is the polymer.
Yeah,
but it's got a good weight to it, as far as it being a polymer.
Yeah, it's a full size sort of duty style weapon for sure.
Yeah. Now, is there plans of doing a compact one of these?
I don't know. Again, if I can get on the product development
on that stuff.
I mean, it's a great point that Rob just made, and I've been kind of hammering that since I've been here. But when I got here, they were right in the middle of developing all these 6 new SKUs. So I didn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. Unfortunately, I'd be very proud of those X series pistols. But moving forward, I definitely want to address the concealed carry issue with Keith and Paul, and see if we can get a really good concealed carry option, some more options of concealed carry out there. We do have the Witness 2311 Brat, which I just had that is it's a 3-inch 2011 platform.
The Match X is a perfect concealed carry.
But with my Desert Eagle 50.
Yeah, if you're 7'3" and
yeah, right.
God.
Yeah, so this is a really neat little pistol too. I shot this. I wasn't able to shoot the 9mm because I didn't have one available, but I did take the 45 out to the range. Got a bunch of rounds through it. Had a really good time with it. The only thing I wish this gun, initially the slide was cut for an optic, but then due to like budgetary issues, they decided to go with the non-optic ready version. They're telling me that there will be a version that comes out where it takes you can put an optic on it, but this particular one doesn't. But still super fun to shoot. Definitely concealable, and it comes 9mm and 45 ACP.
Nice.
Good capacity. Really small gun. The same excellent trigger in the match and max shots X is in this brat as well. But
17 rounds with the 9 or 11 with the 45.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So I mean that's not it's not bad, and it's got that trigger too. That match trigger.
Standard 2011 or 1911 features. These particular guns, they had the witness line before, and we still carry those. We've got full size 10mm stuff, small 10mm, like every caliber you could think of. But this new generation, they really focused on trigger consistency, getting a great trigger, making it consistent. They really focused on accuracy. And like I said, Keith, the owner, has really been overseeing Turkey and really hammering them, make sure that they get all of the, check all the boxes on his list.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've known Keith and Paul for a very long time, and they're both, especially Keith, is very big on quality. I mean, don't fuck up with Keith. Don't fuck up with Keith. I mean, dude, I love that guy. He is a stickler for quality, and that's one thing about EAA. You get something from them, it's going to be good shit. You never have to worry about it. I got a 45 witness from them, and I've been running that for years and never had an issue. And if you get something from EAA, there's going to be no issues. Carry ton? Actually, I carried it for 4 years.
Yeah,
a full size witness.
Yeah, our marketing slogan right now is
show your hands again, Ton. Show your hands again. I don't know how you even shoot a gun with those mangled up. What in the world? Somebody just dropped something.
What happened?
Sorry.
That wasn't me. My hands are up.
Is everyone okay?
I think that was a drum crack.
Actually, speaking of the devil, Keith's in here. He's moving some stuff around.
He's jacking up the show.
I've got.
You're not supposed to let him hear me talking EAA nice about him.
Witness 10mm that I love. I was just shooting. I was down in Florida a couple months ago and pulled them out of the safe, full size and a compact. And I kind of went through a stage where I was buying every 10mm I could get my hands on. And it was right when the EAA Witness 10s came out. Great guns.
Yeah. So Rob, I noticed behind you, you've got a lever action gun, and that'll bring me to.
No, that's not levered. That's a muzzle loader.
Is it a muzzle loader? I can't really see. Okay. Well, anyway, that brings me to my next topic is I wanted to talk about these lever actions that we're seeing. It's like everybody's modernizing the lever action and coming out with a railed version, tactical version of the lever action. You think that's a trend that will continue, or is that just a fad?
Yeah, that's a lot of people like Ranger Point Precision has been doing systems for the Henry, for the Marlin. And I have outfitted a couple of my Henrys and Marlins with the rail systems, and it actually has made it really enjoyable. And I'm not butthurt about digging up the wood. It's my truck guns. They're great. I love them.
So Smith & Wesson's getting into that game now. So with their lever actions, they're coming out with the railed version of those. Who's the guys who do those awesome conversions? I think they've done some stuff with Black Collar Arms also, Rob. Do you remember the company I'm talking about?
I don't know. The company is doing magazine fed?
No, they're kind of the first that got into the tactical conversion of the lever actions. But yeah, so the magazine fed lever action is another thing that I was going to lead to.
Yeah, the detachable AR mags. I mean, I think they're novelties. There's nothing. I don't think there's any nobody's. Oh, I need that to fill this niche that an AR doesn't do better, or a bolt action gun doesn't do better at any extreme. the lever action is a ubiquitous, fun gun to own at this point. And why not a modern version? Like, all for it. But I don't know that, like, no one's explained to me why it's important. Like, is there a hunting is there a place where you need a lever action because you can't hunt with a bolt action or a semi-auto? Like, I don't know that the 350 Legend would be an example of something where, like, it fills a niche because of the straight-walled cartridge issue. So you get a modern straight-walled cartridge people can use hunting in places where they have to either use a shotgun or hope, that kind of thing. So, but I don't know. So I don't know that tactical lever actions are a big deal other than they're neato.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot of them in Illinois with the straight wall cartridge laws there. A lot of hunters.
Indiana, Illinois,
Yeah, there's a few states
Ohio.
that have that. Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about the bolt guns. Are we seeing any new innovations in bolt guns? Or how do we
7mm backcountry?
7mm back?
I don't have it here because it's actually at my house. The Stowaway, again, I'll give that thing a shout out. And the thing that's cool about it is he's going to be doing multiple barrels. So I know, like, the 9mm barrels have already been announced. Those are going to be coming out soon. And they'll just keep adding different calibers to that Stowaway platform. So you got like a $300 single shot bolt gun that's really compact and lightweight. Then you put whatever you want on it. Put your own folding brace, put your own, obviously I'm running mine with a suppressor and a short barrel. You can get a carbine length barrel and put a stock on it. Dark Mountain Arms. It's Aaron Boyd. He did the Trailblazer life card, the folding life card 22. Again, 22 Magnum, kind of a novelty gun, but really popular, inexpensive, fun to own, easy to own, cool to show to your friends when you do your gun show and tell or whatever. But the Stowaway, does it? Yeah, is it going to be like my survival grab when I can only take one gun out of the house? No. Is it a cool gun to have in my collection? Yeah. And I think it's going to be kind of like an encore style thing where you can have a bunch of different barrels and it's like a 30-second swap to another caliber and just something fun to use, whether you're using it for hunting or plinking or introducing new people to the shooting sports kind of thing. Kind of a cool little bolt gun. Very cool little bolt gun.
Stowaway pistol, 1913 style adapter. The Stowaway pistol is designed to be the most versatile single shot pistol available. The barrel is removable to reduce length and pack away or convert to another caliber. Features a 1913 style adapter to attach a folding brace. All NFA laws apply, obviously.
You can do the folder on the back. You can do the slider on the back. If you get the 16-inch barrel, obviously you can put a stock on it. And you can change the grip too. And one of the interesting things about it is a backpack style gun. I put a black collar grip on it because, again, that's the one I like, same one I'm running on the ASARs. But what I thought about was potentially looking for one of those weird, like, thin type attachments you see in some of like for California or the other non-pistol grip states, because that would actually make it a slimmer gun, so easier to stick into a backpack or wherever, because you wouldn't have the pistol grip sticking out. Then I haven't done that yet, but the attachment on it is the same as an AR lower, so you can anything that'll fit on an AR lower will fit onto to the frame.
Bolt ARs, uppers. What are your thoughts on that?
Which one is that?
That's Bear Creek Arsenal.
Okay, yeah, Bear Creek does it. I think
An
POF
AR
did it best. POF has probably done it best at this point. And theirs is, I know, designed to be drop in to make it semi-auto again if you wanted to, so you can kind of go back and forth. So if you're in a state where you can't get an AR except for a bolt action, but you think the laws might change or you might move in the future, then there's your easy investment choice to get the one that you can. I think that's the big question I always have is it only bolt, or can I also use it semi-auto mode?
Yeah.
Is the upper receiver
and
compatible
that's
with
what I don't
semi-auto
know
mode?
about these Bear Creeks, if they are that
I'm not
way.
sure either. I use some Bear Creek stuff. We do a 22 and a 22 Magnum for Massachusetts with our ASARs, and we use the Bear Creek side chargers. And I'm experimenting with a PDW design on an ASAR that uses a left side charger as well. Some of the parts come from Bear Creek. So I've used a bunch of their stuff, but not the bolt action. I think again, that's a nice, if you like ARs and you have all the AR stuff and you can't hunt with semi-automatic in your state, boom, there's your answer.
But you can just pop the top and then switch, your semi-auto to your bolt. You can do that. I know that, but I don't know.
For sure. Those are made to drop onto. The question is, can you just put a semi-auto bolt carrier group in it and use it?
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do that with most of the designs. They're dedicated, but for some reason I'm thinking it was POF that had the one that was easily usable as a.
And I think that's cool. I think that's innovative. Somebody's come out with a way to add more usage to your AR. So, I'm not opposed to that kind of technology because who knows where that's going to lead. Where might that lead to? So we talked pistols as far as the pistols.
I just saw like yesterday. Hold on, before we get off the new stuff that's been announced, has anybody else taken a good look at what Glock's doing with aim point with this? I think they call it the A mounting system or whatever it is, where it sort of shoehorns in.
Yeah, I looked at it yesterday, and it's cool that they're shoehorning it in your rear. You get to keep your rear sight. It brings the optic lower. It's cool. I think it's for them using only aim point kind of pigeonholes them, but I think it's a great way of doing things.
Yeah, the question is, will Gideon, Hollow Sun, anybody else come in and emulate that, or have they put a design patent on that interface between the Glock slide and that particular optic? The other thing I'm wondering is this Glock actually shipping with a metal rear sight now?
Oh,
or is that is it somehow a plastic? Yeah, it's got to be a metal rear sight, right?
Yeah,
it looks
good. That's a leap forward for Glock. Forget about the mounting system.
Yeah, look at that. Okay, I didn't know.
The other one I saw.
Okay.
Late last night, that's kind of cool. That kind of piggybacks off of this is the new primary arms optic that's being made in Houston now.
Well,
so they've got a new optic. I believe it's called the HTX1.
Let's see. It's loading. Yes, I'm over 18. I hate that websites are doing this shit now. Such a pain. Is it the let me just pull it up and you tell me.
HTX1 reflex sight.
It's the HTX1 reflex sight is what it is.
Okay. Let's see if they've got it on their website.
Yep.
This one?
Here, I will put this also in the private chat so you can see here's the page on it with all the hubbubaloo.
Okay.
So
pull that up.
Instead of using
I got it up.
So instead of using like the actual machined in points, this can be used. So let's just say you have an RMR. This has multiple footprints. It's a modular chassis system optic using multiple different footprints that goes off of what your existing footprint is. Or this will lock right into MOS. The other thing is it brings the sight down lower compared to other optics, so you get a true co-witness with just standard sights.
Has this been named Optic of the Year already?
American-made Optic of the Year.
American-made.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. This is their first transition into making American-made optics in Houston.
Oh, for real? So American-made. Oh.
Yeah.
Any indication of what is the glass? Are the diodes is it just being assembled in the U.S. or do we know?
That was my question.
Housing being machined here. What's the asterisk on that? I'm wondering.
There's got to be some asterisks. I haven't talked to them yet about this, but I saw it late last night, early this morning.
Is it they
this.
put the battery in and called it American made? We know how that works.
I know this is something that they've been wanting to do, but there's just a reality of price and technology. Do we know the price point on this guy? I mean, if it's $1,000 optic, then I believe they're grinding glass in Texas. If it's a $300 optic, they're not grinding glass in Texas.
It's $649, and this one's $690. So $700 optic. Yeah, it's not cheap at all.
So there might be.
It's something to keep an eye on. I'm gonna definitely look at that. Like that. Now that's something I'm really interested in checking out. Probably more than anything else that's really just popped up on my radar that's being shown at SHOT. That I'm interested in finding out what they're really doing. Just because I'd like, I always say like with the PD-10, right? It is American made. I mean, there may be a spring that has metal that was imported. I don't know. Like we're doing 99% of the metalwork in this building. And I think people are willing to pay 10 or 15% extra for that. We're never going to have a $350 gun doing it that way. But if someone's coming to market with a $700 sight, American made's, I think that's worth $100 maybe to a lot of people, but it's not worth $300. So it's still got to have a lot of features that are going to make it a premium sight.
Now they're toting this fits 96 optic footprints.
Holy shit.
I didn't know there were 96 optic footprints.
I didn't know there was 96 optics footprints either.
That's right there. Yeah.
Will it fit on my muzzle loader?
Hey, you know what? 4 years ago, we didn't know there was 127 genders either. So we're learning as we go.
Good point. It's Texas.
Canik has come out with a red dot also. They've got some different size. They got like a micro. I don't know what they're calling it there.
The micro might be new. They've been out for a couple years. The mechanic line, ME Canic is how they launched that.
Yeah,
that, and they've come out with one that's got a super. I think it's going to be new. A really wide field of view.
What company is this?
It's Canic.
Hey, can we go back to Rob's point real quick about the price? So $1,000. Yeah, they're probably making the whole thing in the U.S. And then $300, they're probably not. But like, kind of landed a little higher than the middle, and it makes me wonder if the glass and the electronics and stuff are being made elsewhere, and what you're paying for is the actual interface technology. The fact that they thought of this, they're the only ones doing this right now. We're paying $700 because you can put that on any gun, or you're paying $700.
The versatility of it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's.
I'm interested to see this thing too.
Yeah.
So here's a little video they got on it.
Let me check Alibaba.
Who's Alibaba? And the 40 Thieves. So for those who are just listening, we're playing a video of it right now. You can go to.
I'm not seeing any muzzleloader. I'm not seeing any muzzleloaders in this montage.
No muzzleloader.
I didn't see any lever actions either.
Right. They're missing that.
I mean, that's a whole
97.
As long as it's got one of those 142 cut styles, it'll fit. Vulcan dot reticle.
The Vulcan is that's the one that has the big 65 MOA ring around the center, so it gives you a correction.
There.
Yeah, if you throw it out in your pointed left, you see the ring on the left side of the window, and you know to move the gun, twist the gun so that ring goes away, and it brings it down to center. Super helpful for teaching people how to find a red dot if they haven't done that before. After the first 12 presentations, hopefully you're never seeing it again. What are you laughing at? What are you snickering for, Tom?
I mean, it's cool, but again, that price point is.
I can't disagree with that.
Is going to put it at a lot of people's desirability.
Yeah.
I guess. It's just like I can get something a lot cheaper that'll do.
If you can afford 96 different guns, you can afford more than one optic to put on those guns. Is my first thought on the versatility thing. Like, what are you doing that you need to keep moving your red dot around?
I think it's just there's so many different there's 97 guns out there. You know, like why 97? That's a
I don't. Yeah, I have questions. I have questions.
Yeah, I mean,
that's crazy. I didn't realize that either. That's a lot. All right, so you guys can go and check out Primary's website if you want to check out that HTX1. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'll give them props for the coolness. You know, it's a 10 on the coolness level, but
I'm definitely, it's got my attention.
They get a 2 on the price level. But it's new. You know, anything new is going to have that high price point, and maybe as the technology progresses and they start selling more of them, it'll come down. So that brings me to prices for this year. What's your guys' outlook on firearms, ammo prices going through this Trump new 2025 administration here? Going up.
I was talking to
steady.
I was talking to some people last night. About this. A lot of people are optimistic, but I think any gun that comes out that's especially like concealed carry handgun that's $400 and under is going to be the hot price point for right now, because the people are
you
still
saying optimistic?
coming back.
Optimistic from the industry side or optimistic from the consumer side? Just want to clarify there.
From the industry side. I'm sorry. From the industry side, there's an optimism that the market will pick back up and we'll get back to our normalcy. And I think any handgun, specifically like concealed carry or gun like that, that's under $400 is going to do really well for the next couple of years, at least this upcoming year, because that's where people can spend their money. It's that very budget kind of tier. And we're seeing a lot of guns. And, you know, I talked to Chase about this yesterday, Chad, and, you know, you guys do a really good job of keeping price point down with really good guns. And we're seeing a lot of more price pointed guns coming out that are really good compared to what we've seen in the past, where, you know, a price point gun, everyone's like, well, it's a price point gun, it's not going to do as well as like the other guns. You know, I'm seeing guns under $400 like the EAA Untouchable and this new Taurus, it's $250 that are really good for the money. And I think that's going to be the hot point going forward for at least this upcoming year. Anything $400 and under is going to do really, really well. And then optimistically, as we see things go and see how the administration, you know, changes some of the laws or what they put into effect, we're going to see more people get into it, especially if they go for a national reciprocity bill. If we get that, you know, we could see more people get into concealed carry, more people looking at guns in those price points. And that's where I see the industry like kind of taking over and rebuilding itself after that momentous couple of years we had.
So do you think the potential law changes or additions are going to help sales this year?
I think if we get national reciprocity, do we see like an instant spike from the industry people? And asking them, they're like, well, it's cool, but I don't think we see an instant spike. Do I see it helping as time goes on, that more people can carry, depending on how the law is written? If the law is written that you can carry what you own in your state, what your carry laws for your state are in other states, then yes, I see that opening up like California, because California is going to start going, well, these roster things are BS. People from Arizona and Nevada and Colorado, or not Colorado is a bad example, but Idaho are coming into California carrying what they carry in their home state. Why can't we have what they carry? Same thing goes for Colorado and Illinois. Seeing that if national reciprocity happens and we get it the way that you can carry what you carry in your home state in another state, then I see rosters falling and arguments for that. And that entail will open up new markets for some of these gun companies that couldn't get into a California, a New York, a Colorado, a New Jersey, a Maryland, a Massachusetts. Like that could be the change that we need to open up those rosters.
And as far as the national reciprocity goes, what kind of chance do you think it stands?
Well, we've heard Trump on record at our convention saying that's the first thing he's going after. We've got our team currently is at the House and the Senate talking up the bills that are both in the House and Senate. The bill in the House is better written than the bill in the Senate, but time will tell. If we get it within the first 100 days, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, but you think inevitably it'll get passed?
I think so at some point.
What about you, Rob?
I agree with the price point issue. I think we're going to see a continuing race to the bottom as far as price goes. You'll still have your high-end niche guns that will sell well because they either have to be highly priced because of what they're capable of doing, or just the novelty kind of Gucci aspect of the brand name. But I think for the most part, for the everyday, the AR, Staccato would be one. And that to me, that one's more of a Gucci, you're buying the name. I think of like the Nemo Omen, you can barely see in frame up there. Like that's more, you got to pay for what it does and what it does reliably with a 300 Win Mag on an AR platform. So there are some guns out there that demand a price, some guns out there that can demand a price, even though it may not make a lot of sense when you see other things on the market that do the same thing. But I think for the most part, we're going to continue to see that kind of, pushing down the price while quality has come up. All the points that John made are super valid. I think that the industry and the community, the industry has for too long relied on a political cycle, which that cycle was broken this year. We didn't, even though the race was close and we didn't know, who was going to win really that race until the race happened, till the election happened. We didn't see a big spike in OG. Just if Harris wins, we're going to lose our guns. Let's buy him now. That didn't happen. And I think it was a wake up call for a lot of people in the industry that we can't rely on that cycle. And we'll go back to, busy spring, busy summer, slow, busy beginning of summer, slow end of summer, busy going into the holiday buying season, and then a slow winter. I think we'll see that more normal cycle kick in at a much lower volume and lower price point than we've seen in the past. And to what Ton was talking about earlier in the show, we'll see some more reality from these trade shows, some more reality from the organizations, some more reality from a lot of the marketing companies too, probably, and the advertising machines that are out there, where we have had this huge boom for most of the last 10, 12 years, really post Sandy Hook, that we have not seen for the last 18 months to 24 months. And I don't think we're going to see the industry pick back up to those other numbers, those old numbers. We're starting to see now people reporting numbers like we're up 4% over last year, but for 2 years in a row, that quarter or that month that we're now up 4% over last year was down double-digit percentages over the preceding years. So it's easy to come back up a little bit and get excited. But I do think that we'll see, fewer guns being sold at lower price points across the industry. We're already starting to see companies, and I don't know which one of these have been announced publicly yet, but a couple of major names have gone away over the last in the last 6 months, let's say, and or are going away pretty soon, because the community just isn't supporting the number of manufacturers and the volume that we've seen. So I think that's accurate. As far as the what is going to be popular and will national reciprocity affect that, I think we could do a whole show on the difference between national right to carry and national reciprocity. I think national right to carry is more what we want. And I think that's when I say that, what I'm saying is, and I know this is dangerous, thin ice to walk out onto, but it's like we treat a marriage license, or like we treat a driver's license, right? Or your vehicle registration. Like John worded it perfectly. If I'm in North Carolina and I have a gun here that I can carry and it's legal, if I go to New Jersey, then New Jersey's vehicle registration laws or firearms laws don't affect me when I drive my car into New Jersey. I'm coming back to North Carolina, I'm passing through, I can have my vehicle with window tint or exhaust or whatever other modifications. SEMA is very involved, much like GOA is. SEMA now has a car modification rights organization to keep people able to do what they want with the cars they own, right? And it's not an equivalency because of the Second Amendment, obviously, but these are some things that we can talk about in terms of being emulated when we talk about right to carry versus national reciprocity, which, some of these bills I've seen are really, I don't like the way they're written at all. I'd rather see them not pass than pass, just so we can cheer and say we got national reciprocity, or so Trump can check a box and say, hey, let's forget about the bump stock thing. I got you national reciprocity. If it's a very weak version of reciprocity, that means I have to jump through the California hoops to carry in California, even though I'm living in North Carolina or Texas or Florida, then that's a loss to, I think it's a loss of momentum. So I'm as worried about the potential for a national reciprocity bill happening quickly as I am excited about it. And it's hard to tell what effect it might have on the market until we get to what is the bill actually saying and doing.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned bump stocks.
Bump it out.
They are back.
Look at you. They are
bump
back.
Stocks are back. This is their latest version of the bump stock. This is the newest. It has the ability to switch over and do ambi. So this little piece slides out. I'm not going to mess with it right now, but I'll show you guys on another episode. I'll get them on and we'll talk about all the new features of the new bump stock. It's adjustable. So that's kind of cool. Just got this in. I'll probably do some videos and whatnot on that soon. But they did reactivate that discount code also. So if you use the code LEADHEAD, you can go to their website, bump stock, Slide Fire. You go to Slide Fire and use that code LEADHEAD, get 15% off. There. So
nice.
Just wanted to mention that real quick. But back to the you're talking about pricing and whatnot. What about ammo? What are we thinking about ammo here? Is ammo still going to kind of ride the same price line? Or are we going to see a dip, or is it going to go up? Are we going to get some kind of lift on some of these importation bans from Trump, or what's going on?
Ammo, I think ammo's very weird market because there's so many components, and where we can get those components from plays a lot into it. We're talking about powder that can only be made in certain areas. We're talking about lead. We can't smelt lead in the US. So you have to get lead from China and bring it in and have the projectiles made. There's so much going into the ammo market that it's hard to predict. Now we're seeing prices fall because less people are buying and it's affecting the market, which is bringing it down. And I've seen it 9 mil for 1,000 rounds as low as $219, which was pretty close to where we were pre-COVID. So maybe we see it go, but it takes one country saying, no, we're not going to import this, or no, you're not going to get this power, or a factory blowing up that could affect the entire ammo market from there. I mean, we're still feeling the effects on shotgun ammo from a couple of years ago when there were some issues with the plastic from the hulls being destroyed in a freak accident. So it's hard to say where the ammo market will go. Now, will we see new cartridges? I think we will see new cartridges. I think we're going to see, could we see 30 super carry take off? I would hope so, like Rob was talking about. We've seen 7mm backcountry just come out. We saw, 338 Blackout or something like that come out a couple months ago.
Which one was that? Yeah, there's another Blackout.
Another Blackout. 375 Raptor.
375 Raptor.
The other, Rob brought up 30 super carry. The other one that's going to surprise people, if it ever makes it to the U.S. market, is 38 TPC. And the only reason why I say that is because that is a Brazilian cartridge that Taurus developed for the Brazilian market. And people are asking about it in the States. I've gotten a lot of comments on the Taurus videos that we put out about when is Taurus bringing 38 TCP to the market. Who knows? They own MagTech. Will they ever produce it? Will it take off? Will it be, see the support like the 30 super carry saw the support? And then who knows? But yeah, it's one of those weird things where are we going to see new cartridges too? I think that's going to be the next trend in ammo. We're going to see new cartridges pop up and disappear like we saw with the 224 Valkyrie and a couple of the other ones.
Interesting. Okay. But as far as
have you seen this yet?
No, I know I haven't looked at it, haven't shot it, haven't really looked at the ballistics. Again, I admit that there is a little bit of skepticism, right? So it's especially because nothing's been released for it in the US. What was it originally a workaround on military caliber ownership for the private sector? Right? It's kind of like 9 by 21 in Italy.
So it says the project began at the end of 2023 with the new Brazilian government's intention to impose legislation that would limit the energy at the muzzle of the permitted guns had already been announced, which ended up being established at 407 joules. It was announced that the new caliber would be 40% more powerful than the current 380 and was less with less recoil, also at a lower price than the 9mm Luger. Official launch of the 38 TCP caliber in Brazil, along with new weapons for it, took place at an event held June 2024.
Yes, I think just like 9 by 21 in Italy and some other places, when you craft around the laws, again, I go back to 350 Legend, a round that only exists because of the laws, you're going to have really limited penetration outside of the markets where those laws exist. You're trying to work around unless you get lucky. Taurus has the power, because they can bring the gun in with it, to bring a package to market and field test it, for lack of a better description of what they'd be doing in the US. But because that is so close, in a lot of ways, and you're not gaining capacity like you do with the 30 Super Carry, I don't know what their argument is other than, hey, look, we've got something novel, right? And that works. Like, I go back to the 5.7, right? Like, the 5.7's on the market right now, way bigger than it was for the first 20 years it existed, because it's novel. So I'm not saying it would never work. I'm just saying they would have to roll the dice pretty big to bring it someplace where there isn't a legal necessity. And we never saw that happen with 9 by 21.
Was the 8.6 the blackout you were trying to think of?
That's the one.
Yeah.
8.6.
Thank you. That was bugging the crap out of me.
That's why I looked.
No, there's a different one too. There's 8.6, but there's another one that it's like 338. Maybe it's 338 AAC.
300 AAC. It's so new, it's not even on the internet yet. What do you think it is? You think it's 338?
It's Shadow
338 ARC. It's 338 ARC is what it is. Yeah, the ARC. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. We've talked about the ARC with Coop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with all the ARCs. There's a lot going on in the ARC space.
The ARCs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ARCs. There are.
Yeah.
And I hear nothing but great things about all the ARCs. And the PRCs are great. I'm too busy with the pistol thing.
So I made a post prior to the show here. Let's see what we've got from the lead heads here. Boba 1776, Magic 8 Ball. Will I find an appropriate silencer for my new KP9? Will I now have to officially switch to Team AK since I now have a KP9 and Hellpup? Well, I don't think you have to.
Use the Google machine.
Nikolai Aplanap. I'm going to be sorely disappointed if Hornady if they don't come out with a line of drone defense buckshot. I mean, they already dropped the zombie defense lines years back.
You can't, but see, that's to Tun's point, and Chad, you started it off too. This idea of shooting into the air, you can't do buckshot. You got to have like a really efficient bird shot.
Or you could do one that does EMP. You do a buckshot with EMP.
That's Taser's got to come out with that.
Bolo rounds, great.
Use those potato launchers.
Tell me you didn't buy Bolo rounds back in the 90s at gun shows.
I still have some. I still have some.
Yeah,
I did buy the zombie. I did buy the zombie. Jerry Black asked the Crystal Ball if there is a new sponsor for the AK Corner that operates out of Louisiana. If not, maybe one that operates out of Idaho. It's in the works. We're working through some things. B Hurst 87. Hopefully a suppressor and cheaper ammo. What are you guys talking about the suppressors? Where do you think the suppressor industry's headed here?
Seems like everybody.
Where else are they going to go? They're the only the suppressors is the only thing that's been working like industry wide. The suppressor people are out of control. But it reminds me of ARs in that post Sandy Hook. Like as people now, let's make suppressors because everybody's selling suppressors. It's the only thing that's selling out. But by the time you spin up the let's make suppressors game, that trend is probably going to be over, and you're going to be stuck with a company that's fighting for a lot of space on very few, very few retailers' shelves.
Our buddy Ralph, at Bursa, they've come out with some suppressors. Have you tried those yet, Rob?
Frozen? No.
Hello.
We're all waiting.
I said, have you tried those out? I said,
John.
Oh no, I have no. I didn't. I was John. John was shushing us, wasn't he?
I have a twofold answer to this, but I know Bursa. He was talking about Bursa, and I interrupted by accident.
Oh, John.
So I've got twofold. So right now we are in the pinnacle of suppressor technology.
No, I was just saying. I was at that show in Bursa. And where do you think it's headed?
We're at the pinnacle of suppressor technology. What I could see happening if, and only if, this is from a GOA point of view, if we get suppressors off the NFA, what will happen is we'll probably get suppressors off the NFA. There'll be a background check. My crystal ball is saying if this happens, we will see a race to the bottom for suppressors. Who has the lowest
100%
price point suppressor out there? Because somebody will want to get into this, like a 9mm suppressor, whoever can get into it at the lowest price point. Then we'll see a bunch of used suppressors on the market because people got into it and then traded them in because they wanted something different or wanted something. I don't see technology advancing any more than we have, because we went from wet versus dry to now flow through to now 3D printed. I don't think there's not much more we can do with the suppressor. What I do see is who's the race to the bottom for the lowest price point? How can we get them out? What we're going to get out? Bunch of people will buy them. And the big thing is like, it's the same argument with AR-15s is now to go after the NFA for suppressors. We have the ability now that lead times are so much lower than they've ever been before that we can now fight. They're in common use, like the AR-15 is. It's in common use. So that's our argument to get them off the NFA. Yep. We get them off the NFA, it's going to be a race to the bottom. We're going to see a bunch of companies come out with suppressor. The same thing we saw with AR-15s in 2012 and 2020. A bunch of fly-by-night companies come out. We'll see some cool things come out of people's garages because people can now mess with them and build them and do all this stuff. I don't think we can get much more technology-wise with suppressors. And even talking to Pappas, I don't think there's much more we can do. But we will see if they get off the NFA, a race to the bottom on price point, a bunch of cool used suppressors, and everybody using them.
I disagree with
you.
It'll
be a lot of integrated. It'll be integrated guns. It'll be a lot of stamped parts. Every manufacturer will have their own integrated and their own line of suppressors that aesthetically look right with their pistols, and it'll be great. It'll be good. It'll be the way God intended guns.
And I agree with that. As far as the price point goes, coming out with cheaper materials and ways to make them. But I think there is still technology out there that they can be improved upon. And I think once they drop off that NFA list, that's when people are going to start, trying to come out with new technology.
When they fall off the NFA list, what you're going to see is companies making suppressors that only fit their firearms.
You think so? Think they're going to get proprietary?
Oh, yeah. Like muzzle brakes. We got a muzzle brake that only fits ours. We got a muzzle brake.
You'll see that aesthetically, you'll see it, but you will also probably see some proprietary version of tri-lug, quick disconnect, whatever.
Yep. Integrated. Sure. You're going to get the
lot of integrated rifles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Built in.
And I think it's gonna be. I think it's great. I mean, I'd love to see that. And I think that there will long term. You'll see a lot of experimentation. What was the gun that came out with the handgun that had the integrated suppressor in it? Like 10 years ago.
Hudson people? No, who was that?
No, that was
it was Giant. Anyway, you'll see more of that kind of stuff. You'll see more people playing. You'll see a lot of PDWs come out that are integrated. And eventually, I think you're right, that it'll have a boost to the technology. But what we're going to see is it's kind of like people arguing over lumens with lights. And it was like, how many, millions of lumens? I'm perfectly happy with like way lower lumens than people think they talked about on the internet needing, because it's just light, right? And the light that I was using in 1992 illuminated shit I needed. I don't need 20,000 times that for 18,000 times the price.
Yeah.
Suppressors right now, there is this how many decibels for how many ounces and all that. All you need is hearing safe. And you're going to see that race to the bottom that John's talking about, with also an acknowledgement that if you're hearing safe, and that's all you need.
There's also the aspect
bottom,
of the gas safe, being gas safe too, being able to keep the gas.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that safety issue of it as well. I think that people can improve upon, and technology, will help.
I can guarantee one thing.
What?
The suppressor companies are going to come out with new terms and new words and new forms of marketing to label shit new ways to
like
sell
flow
it.
Through.
Yeah, they're going to come up with a bunch of new words. It's going to be like the new twist on makeup. Everything's going to be a new fucking word the way they sell it. It's going to be the makeup industry.
So you're saying we should go ahead and start thinking of all the names they could come up with and trademark them and then sell them back to them?
Yeah, it's.
Why do you know so much about the makeup industry?
Because I have a wife.
Good ass.
I have a wife.
Talking about it. Was that?
Dude.
I thought I was on thin ice talking about cars.
I mean, I was married also, and I know nothing about her makeup.
You know this?
I've had more wives than you guys all put together, and I don't know much about makeup.
I had to ask. I'm doing this look right now because I'm making sure I'm not going to die from a flying object. I had to ask, why did you spend $48 on a small 2-ounce jar of cream that had hyaluronic acid? I was like, what the fuck? Okay, she's still not over here. Yeah. I was like,
is that for the new line of wet suppressors using hyaluronic acid?
There you go.
Like, Chad, did you freeze, or are you just being super quiet about suppressors? Are you suppressed, sir?
He's muted.
He muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm muted. The guys are working in the warehouse, so I didn't want to annoy you guys.
He's suppressed.
I'm suppressed. Yeah, I am.
I want to hear your thoughts.
He's moderated.
Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts on moderators.
I think all of you guys are bringing up great points, and I actually hope to see that happen.
What do you think the odds are of it falling off the NFA list? Coming off this year. Let's just get a target. Everybody.
Oh.
I think they were a lot higher before that December New York assassinations.
Yeah. Good point.
GOA, get to
I can
work.
agree with that. Well, here's my argument. This is why I think that we will get them off. First off, OSHA approves suppressors, which is hilarious that OSHA is the one who says suppressors are good, even though I hate OSHA with every fiber of my being. They agree that suppressors are good for us. The thing that they screwed up, here's going to be the argument from the ATF. Look how quick we've gotten suppressors approved. Right? They've gotten them approved in record numbers. We're seeing wait times down to like hours, days.
Doesn't matter.
Instead of
Still
months.
cost me $200. Fuck them.
Right. It still costs. But here's my argument. By doing that, they've made them in common use. The amount of people who have bought suppressors because the wait time is so down that weren't buying them because of that, they've just screwed themselves with common use. We've talked about this when they tried to ban ARs. ARs are in common use. That's always the argument.
This argument's been around for a few years now with SBRs, right? With braces and SBRs, and that fell flat. Like that didn't work there. I don't know why that argument's going to magically work. I think the OSHA Hearing Protection Act path is a lot more sound ground to fight on than the common use. If we couldn't get common use with SBRs, why are we now going to be able to get it with suppressors?
I don't disagree with that at all. But that's my argument. I know I want to argue with you, Rob, but I don't have an argument because you're absolutely right. Because do I see here's how I see it if from my point of view and seeing the crystal ball, can we get SBR SPSs off? There's a possibility we will get those off before suppressors because the left is going to argue. They tried to argue it with the pistol brace thing, and we saw the pistol brace fail epically. They're banning of the pistol brace. So now we have our argument like, look, this failed. Why not just make SBRs and SPSs legal because this failed completely on its face?
Well,
the problem is the anti-gun left
the NFA list.
Yeah. The problem with the anti-gunners is they're going to use Hollywood, like they use on a lot of things, as their talking point for suppressors. Look how silent they are. Look at the assassinations in movies. That's going to be our biggest hurdle that we're
now
going to
they've
have to get
got
over.
the
With
healthcare guy's assassination that they can add
Yeah.
to that actual real world where one has never been, documented before being used. They've got it, and that's very suspect too that he did that. So,
here's something I just thought of too. So, you were talking about the suppressor pricing. There's going to be a race to the bottom. You'll be paying a lot less for technology, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing is, I think what's going to happen, at least in the beginning, is another point you guys brought up was great, is that you're going to start seeing integrated cans on guns. Pistols are going to come out with they're already suppressed. Rifles already suppressed. You're going to end up paying for that suppressor with that rifle or with that pistol, because these manufacturers they're going to market them like, it's an integrated thing. It's this small, it's this quiet, it's whatever. So you're going to be paying for their technology at first, but the actual individual can that you can tri-lug on or spin on, or, whatever. Those will probably end up being dirt cheap.
Well, I think more people are going to do the integral suppressed barrels and whatnot, because
they will. And like I said, in the beginning, it's going to be expensive, but when everyone else starts doing it, then there's going to be people are going to be fighting for that market space too.
Ackless does that now. They've got a couple of integrally suppressed firearms that they make. But let's move on. We're running out of time here. So the NFA, that leads me to the ATF. And, there's been a lot of buzz talk about abolishing the ATF. And I think, was her name Bobert or whatever, was made a speech yesterday or the day before or something about abolishing
yesterday. Yeah.
Was it? I didn't hear it. I just saw some posts, but I didn't actually hear her speech. So, but she's supposedly submitting a bill or something to do that. I don't know. But what do you think about the ATF? Is it good, bad to abolish the ATF, to get rid of the ATF? Does that just mean
it's a lot of noise? It's a lot of noise coming from
government agencies,
from people that want to make noise. She's one that wants to make noise. She makes a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise. What's going to happen now? You put it in the hands of the FBI. The FBI is a lot bigger and a lot harder to get any kind of influence on politically. I don't think it's not like the laws are going to go away or regulation goes away because the ATF goes away. Tobacco, firearms, explosives. I mean, it's there's so much going on there that it's literally infantile to think pounding on the table and saying get rid of the ATF is going to solve our firearms rights issues.
So here's the issue with the ATF and any law enforcement agency in our government, is that it's not the agency that's necessarily the problem. It's the fact that our government, who we're relying on to sort of get rid of these things, they're the ones that are allowing these agencies to basically write laws. They're supposed to be law enforcers. They don't legislate things. Exactly. So when you've got like the ATF telling you like, oh, you can have a pistol brace. No, you can't have a pistol brace. There was never a law. No law was ever submitted to anybody during that whole argument that I know of where Congress voted on that. So that's where the problem is. I don't care if there's an ATF. I don't care if there's an FBI, as long as they're staying in their lane by the constitutional laws that we have.
100%.
And there's the argument that the ATF is an unconstitutional agency. John, speak to that.
I mean, it is when it comes, because they cannot, like Chad said, they cannot make laws. They can only interpret the laws that are written by Congress. We've seen them do their interpretation. They get around it by not saying their laws. They're interpreting their rules, and they're not saying that they're laws. So we've got these interpretation of the rules that they're putting out there, that have been taken to court, and we have won. Look at the pistol brace. Look at the bump stock. Like, we've won those because they are not able to make the laws. We are 3% of the ATFs. The two big ones are the A and the T. Can we abolish the ATF? I would love to, but I don't think we can get rid of it because of the A and the T and the E. They're not going to go after those two things. They want regulatory things on tobacco. They want regulatory things on alcohol. Now, do we see it falling off? And yes, do we?
Out but again, guys, agencies. Those could be split out of their own agencies, and you've got this that they just.
It's pretty ironic as well that more people die from alcohol than anything,
and tobacco,
right?
Than any of those things. Yeah.
Again, guys, it comes down to the argument that we're all making. I think that they shouldn't be making laws and rules is the same argument that means it's not the agency that matters, because they're enforcing whatever the regulations are. Even if we have to fight in court to change what those regulations are, to get rid of unconstitutional laws, the agency itself isn't the issue. And that's why it's just banging on a drum to get
Correct.
cheap votes and cheap likes and cheap donations
Correct.
that are going maybe to a good cause and maybe in the right direction. But it's a colossal waste of time when you compare it to something like getting short-barreled rifles off the NFA. Right?
They're not
Get
going
rid of the
anywhere.
NFA. Yeah,
They're not going
the
anywhere.
agency is going nowhere.
It's,
And even if it did go anywhere, it would go right into the FBI, which isn't necessarily better for anybody.
Be worse.
It's just going to all this
Yeah.
nonsense is just going to slide to some other agency. You're exactly right.
and let's be realistic. If you're making ammunition, you have to have an explosives license. It's that simple. If you're manufacturing ammunition, you have to have an explosives license. ATF is going to be at your doorstep. When you're making my targets, you have to have an explosives license.
I've got a couple of those for a reason, right?
Yep.
Like, you can't be in business without them. And
Yeah.
and while all the will not comply on the internet, a lot of the guys screaming will not comply on their YouTube channels also have FFLs. They have concealed carry permits. They fill out 4473s, and it's a real distraction to the real fight and to doing real good. When you're talking about abolish the ATF, it's a
Clickbait.
waste of space.
100%.
We have a better chance of changing legislation. And I'm going to say, this is what I've been saying to people. I'm going to say it the way I say it. This is not, 100% on GOA, but we theoretically have a year and a half to get stuff changed. We have Senate races coming up in a year and a half, or in 2 years, a year and a half, because that other half of the year, they're getting ready to go get reelected. We have a limited amount of time where we have both the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Now's the time. If you're going to preach from the top, now's the time more than ever to activate the gun owners to go to their congressman, their senator, and get the legislation that needs to be passed. That's what it needs to be. We don't have much time. We think we've got it. Our as gun owners, and this is my biggest pet peeve with gun owners, our response mechanism as gun owners and conservatives is, we won. Cool. I can sit back now. Everything's great. No, now is the time to wake up and go do what we got to do and win. Like, you can't just sit back and wait. You got to go in and tell your senators and your congressmen that this is what we need and this is what we want. You elected them. They work for you. It's not the other way around.
Yeah, I think there's multiple approaches to getting what we want out of this. And one is certainly, make your voice heard, write your senators, your congressmen. But I think the biggest thing is the people in the top of our industry really need to take an effort to educate these people that we're voting into office. Like, just because somebody has an R after their name doesn't mean they know the first thing about firearms, the laws,
100%,
or any of those things. So those people really need to be educated on this stuff, because when they get in there and they're going to slide whichever ways they're told to go, because they don't know anything, or they think suppressors are dangerous, right? Because they saw them on TV and they're quite whatever, all the nonsense. But they need to be taken to the range. They need to be taken to training classes. Guys like Rob need to have these people. He needs to have them in their hands, like showing them that the average citizen, we are the ones that protect ourselves. We've been saying it for how many decades now, so they need to understand that, because they either have some sort of protective detail, or they live in an affluent neighborhood, or whatever the case may be, or they're just anti-gun because they've seen a bunch of gun crime, right? So that's something that I think our industry really needs to take seriously, to try to get to the people at the top. Like, even Trump, he doesn't know anything about firearms. Like, he knows that the Second Amendment's important to us. He knows what our voice sounds like. He's heard from the NRA. He's heard from the GOA. He's heard from all these people, right? So he's going to go
Junior
as a politician. He's going to stand up for whatever the people want, basically. And so if we're going to have some sort of an oligarchy, I want all those oligarchs to be educated.
And we need to remember that idea that they work for us. Remember that means when these celebrity politicians, and Trump's not the only one, Boebert is an example too. Anybody who shows up at the SHOT Show or shows up to our conventions to put an arm around us and get the photo op needs to be called to task, right? They wasted 16 and 17, to John's point. Let's not waste 25, 26. And let's get educated. And let's not waste our time with stump speeches and get out the vote stuff. Let's really get in there and do the work is what we need to be telling them. Not, we're so glad you're here. Because honestly, I'm not glad that they're at SHOT Show because they're taking up our time to actually do business at SHOT Show. I'm not glad that they're in the NRA convention because I don't think that the person who's going to the NRA convention is voting for them anyway. They don't need to be there, and they're just taking up time.
You know where I'd be glad to see them? At the range. I'd be glad to see them.
Yeah, exactly. Or on a hunt that wasn't, a $10,000 elephant paid for hunt.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right,
Chad, you brought it up.
No, go ahead.
Chad brought it up. The industry. Okay, sorry. Chad brought it up. He's absolutely right. The top needs to look at it. That's why we, as GOA, we put out our voter guide every year. We only grade them on their pro-gun or anti-gun bills that they put out. And that is a way to look at it. If you look at the way they're voting, and we have a voter guide on there, it's easy. And we also have a way to contact your senator and congressman. It takes 30 seconds to go to our website to find that, type in your info, and we have pre-written out things that you can send to it, or you can write your own thing to send to them. The more people who start preaching, like, hey, we want NFA or suppressors off the NFA, the more people who are contacting their senator and congressman, the more influence we have over them to actually get this stuff done.
Correct, but they also need to understand why. They need to understand why we want them off the NFA. It's not just because it's a Second Amendment right necessarily. So there's a lot of nuance to that, and again, that's where all the education comes in.
Yeah. So the website.
I couldn't agree more with you, Chad.
Give your website, John.
Gunners.org.
All right, I've got it pulled up there. So all the things you're talking about, people can go. You've got the links to their representatives, their Congress people that they can get in touch with there, right?
Yeah, it's all in there. All you got to do is put in your address or your zip code, and it'll pull up who your senator and congressman is. And then it's a pre-filled out form, basically how it should look like, or you can fill it out as well and just type in what you want. So, and there's across the banner. Yeah. Also across the banner, I want to congratulate him since we're here. Kash Patel, who was at our event, who's very pro-gun, got tapped for the FBI director. I hope he does some really good changes for pro-gun stuff through the FBI.
That's all our hope, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations on your nomination for the Gundies. Did you make it to the finalists there? Are you?
When you go up against Sean Ryan, it's really hard to get anywhere. But Ben Sanderson from our Minuteman moment got into the top 5. So congratulations to Ben on that.
Very nice. I didn't make it, by the way, but thank you, Leadheads, for your votes and your nomination. I didn't make it to the finals, but oh well, maybe next time.
I want to
so to wrap this up, I want to go around the table here and just get everybody's just final thoughts, final outlooks on where the firearms industry outdoors. I mean, it doesn't have to be firearms related either. Industry is headed, and one thing that you would like to see that maybe is missing in your life that's not available now or somebody hasn't made. And we'll start with Ton.
I think it's going to be a slow start, but I think it's going to be picking up, especially for any sales for firearms, anything under 500 going towards the end of the year. But I think everybody's still a little shy on sales, a little bit shy going in at the beginning of the year. With everybody else, I want to see more 30 super carries out there. I got to shoot, actually, Rob's, I got to shoot yours. Yep. And that thing is just badass. I want to see more of the 30 super carry out there, and I want to see the X. I want to shoot the X. Sorry, Chad. I want to shoot that damn X. God, I want that thing.
Right.
That's easy. That's easy. I know a guy, so we can make that happen.
Chad.
Yeah.
You're up.
Oh, I'm up. Yeah. So what I'm hoping for 2025 is that the industry starts to boom again, because this is the flattest I've ever seen it. It's been really dead. I I'd also like to see some more innovation. So hopefully things sort of get back to normal, get back to pre-COVID, all that stuff. And people in these companies, they start competing with each other. What I don't want to see is a bunch of more random weird calibers. The Valkyrie, I mean, that Valkyrie, I thought that was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And then it just,
I remember you talking about that too.
Yeah, really. We wanted to do the, one of our bullpups and that, but anyway, I just hope the industry kind of fires back up, because what that does is that sends more people to classes. Rob's probably going to see an uptick in people coming to his classes, because now people can afford ammo again. They can afford to go get a gun again. They're just excited about life. The economy is doing really well, and it's really easy for us to sell products to the market. And again, going back to the suppressor thing, make everything just common. Like, this is all about firearms aren't just like for personal protection. It's a lifestyle, and we have a right to exercise that lifestyle every single day. So I want to see the market come up. I want to see more people get, come under the hood, basically.
Oh, very good. John, you're up next. And also tell us, maybe some laws or things maybe that are coming up that we haven't heard about or need to be aware of.
So first off, I want to see more guns under that $400 price point that are well built. I want to see more people getting into this. Like I said earlier, law wise, we've got national reciprocity. That's going to be a big push for us this year, but there's some things in the works for people like Chad and companies like Chad that could affect the industry across the board. So I can't say exactly what, because it hasn't been announced yet. It hasn't actually been filed, but I will have things that I will be walking around with at Chacha. There's two big cases that are going to be coming up. One would affect Chad and one would affect the entire industry. So really excited to see how those go as time goes on, and see what that could do to help boost the industry. And then something new at Chacho, I'd like to see, more innovation. We see a lot of the same copycat things over the last couple of years. We'll see trends. I want to see things like in the mid-range gun. I think that's going to be a good space, and maybe even something cool and innovative like a gun that loads from the top, if we haven't seen the video from Keltec yet. So we'll see how that goes for them. But thinking outside the box, like I want to see it. But I'd like to think of things outside of the box. I know that they're going to get crucified, but Taurus has been notorious for doing guns outside the box. But I'd like to see people get outside of the box. Let them get crucified, but at least you're doing something. That's all I got to say.
Bring back the curve.
Curve. Jeez, but don't you wish you had one? Just like, this.
I kind of do. It's like a novelty item, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Who made the curve?
Yeah.
Taurus.
That's why I have a Remington R51.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Rob.
Oh, the R51. Yeah.
So I want to see. What do I want to see, or what I think I would see? I think that we're going to see flat. I don't think we're going to see any kind of increase in volume, really, especially anything over the price point or bargain guns. Thankfully, bargain guns are way higher quality. Somebody else mentioned it earlier, that we generally are seeing more opportunity for quality guns at what are considered bargain price points, at $400 price point kind of guns. So that's good. But I think we're going to be pre-Sandy Hook, is what we need to be thinking about as the new normal, out of this political cycle, out of the panic, fear-based buying and market forces, and more, rational decision-making and reasonable decision-making, which is going to then necessitate some real innovation or some real quality pricing kind of stuff. As I mentioned earlier, I'd like to see more support for 30 Super Carry. I'd also like to see generally thinner slides top to bottom. So we've narrowed guns left to right width-wise, but we still see these really tall slides that put the axis of the recoil above the hand far more than it needs to be. So I'd like to see another generation of innovation from the major manufacturers, where we're seeing them slim the grips. We're seeing them make the grips and the relationship, the ratios between the grips and the slides, I think more ergonomic and more appropriate for rapid close quarters defensive shooting, concealed carry type needs, home defense type needs. I think if we saw more lowered height, top to bottom on slides, we'd see guns that are even easier to shoot, and still very, very ergonomic, and that can be done. The engineering technology is certainly there. So I'd like to see that. I think that's something that we really haven't seen much of, is getting things lower into the frame. One of the reasons we don't see that is because of sub chassis, and we know that, like we were talking about the Ruger, because that is kind of a trend, is these chassis or arranged guns where the serialized part drops into a plastic grip that isn't serialized. That makes it harder to make a gun narrow and make the bore axis low. But I'd like to see some innovation there. And then I guess the last piece would be more support for the private gun makers, more support where files, more companies that are making frames that can be milled out, drilled out, and completed frame kits, receiver kits, paperweights, 80%ers, whatever you want to call them. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see companies putting their current generation guns into the hands of the gun makers, especially in the 3D printing space, because there's a lot of really cool stuff that happens there, innovative design that might even come full circle and help innovate the industry, because people are doing safe, responsible things with industry support, not having to go rogue, buy a gun, strip it down, and do their own CAD work on the frames. So hopefully we'll see more of that in the future.
Very good. Very good. And I just want to echo Chad and John's. I want to see less copycats. I want to see more originality especially from these major manufacturers. I don't want to see the same old coming out again and again with just a little small twist or something to it. If it's actually innovating and different and makes a difference in the end user's experience, then yeah, I'm all for that. Also want to see the suppressors come off the NFA. There's just no reason why they need to be on there whatsoever, and SBRs as well. But we got to get one at a time. So let's get the suppressors, and then we'll work on the short-barreled rifles, so to speak. But I think this is going to be a very interesting year. I think we will probably see some innovation later on in the year, maybe not in the beginning as much. Interested to see what people are actually willing to show at SHOT Show, what they're going to reveal. I know a lot of these companies have things on the drawing board and have been on the drawing board for some time and just been waiting for the right moment to release that. So that's going to be interesting to see if they pick this year and this SHOT Show to do that. But as a whole, I think the industry's, it's going to do well. I think we're going to do very well. Now is the time to buy. There's never been a time better for you to go out and buy your firearm, buy your accessories. Ammo has come down quite a bit. So now is the time to buy. Quit rat holing. Go out there. If you wanted to buy an AR, you wanted to buy an AK, you wanted to buy a PD-10, and you've been trying to justify it. Well, now's the time. Prices have never been better. They're not going to get any better. I don't see prices getting any better than they are right now, any lower. So
take all that ammo you've been hoarding in the last 4 years, take it to a class and get some training. Go shoot it.
Well, and that's another thing, training. If you've got everything, you got a wall full of guns, and you're just, you're thinking, well, what can I go spend my money on next? Take training courses. Go out and train. Learn how to freaking use your gun, how to properly use your firearm.
And don't be intimidated by it either. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's obviously a great. You'll learn a lot of great skills. So.
There are great instructors out there. Rob being one of the top tier instructors. Rob, talk about the training that you've got scheduled coming up for this year.
Yeah, so we'll do another training tour under the Personal Defense Network banner. Of course, IC Training Company's my company. My next class to kick the year off, I'm going to be in Hawaii. The Hawaii concealed carry and firearms community has really blown up since Bruin. It's become a much more open firearms ownership society group. The ranges are developing classes, local instructors. We've got a great group of instructors on the Big Island there who are bringing me in for advanced classes. They're teaching fundamental stuff. So we're going to kick the year off there. But from March to September, we'll have 12 to 15 instructors. We're still finalizing the list of names, doing over 150 classes at over 50 locations around the country under the Personal Defense Network training tour banner. It's always the highlight of the training year, has been for the last 12 or 13 years anyway. For me, that's the focus. So people can learn more about that at pdntrainingtour.com. Of course, the new calendar and new sponsors and affiliates and instructors won't be listed until sometime in February. But I do think that we will see a big uptick in training this year. I should have mentioned that earlier. Generally, what happens when we see the firearms industry, we see prices, especially with ammo, go way up, and we see the market sort of peak out when it comes to firearms. The following year or two, when ammo prices tend to come down, is when we see people pick up the training. They say, okay, I bought everything I needed. I bought everything I wanted. Prices come down. And that's the thing I would probably throw out there. And I've said this a lot. It doesn't have to be with me. It can be with, there's hundreds of great instructors out there in the country, thousands of instructors if you go down to the basic level. And if you have like 5 ARs and like 8 handguns and you've never taken a class, cool if you're a firearms collector, but don't tell yourself, your family, your friends, don't tell the internet that you own guns to defend yourself in the American way in a worst case scenario if you're just a gun collector. Nothing wrong with being a gun collector. But, 2 things. If you have a bunch of guns and no safes and no quick access safes, and you're not doing what you need to do to prevent unauthorized access, you're wrong. Get the safe instead of the 20th gun. And again, if you have all the guns and you've never taken a class and you claim to be primarily interested in personal country defense, don't buy the 20th gun. Go take a couple classes.
Very good.
Yep.
Point made. There you go.
Yep.
All right, Ton. Firebird targets. Anything new, exciting we need to talk about? Code still works.
Code still works. TL15.
There you go. TL15. Firebird targets. Get 15% off any of your orders there. That includes the signal markers. So go check. And have you packaged the signal markers with the 60 bios?
Nope. We ran the special all the way till New Year's. If you didn't buy it, you missed out on the holiday special. And I don't know when I'm going to run a new one. We're going to have a show special at Hunter's Extravaganza, but that's here in Fort Worth.
I think you should run one February the 24th.
No.
That's when you should run the next special.
No.
So.
No. The prices double that day.
I got to jump off, guys.
Chad, real quick before you jump off, give website EAA what to look forward in 2025 from EAA.
It's EAAcorp.com. You can go there and see all the newest arrivals, and then we have page after page after page of older SKUs that are still relevant. They're just older SKUs, and there's tons of stuff on there to choose from. No pun intended. So hit EAAcorp.com and hit our social medias as well.
There you go.
That's it.
Keep an eye
Appreciate
out.
you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks,
And
man. See you in a few weeks.
John, one more time. Give your GOA info.
GOA, you can go to gunowners.org and you can find all the stuff about GOA. You can also check us out on Twitter or X, Facebook, Instagram. And if you're interested in podcasts like this one, you can check out the GOA podcast, State of the Second, where we talk with industry people all the time. So check those out. That can be found on all podcasting hosts.
Will you be posting something on your social media about the thing you couldn't talk about here that you're going to release at SHOT Show?
As soon as it gets filed and we have a case in, you will see it posted on social media.
Okay.
For all
you're going to talk about it
at
at
case filing.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
We'll talk about it at SHOT Show in secrecy. It'll be super secret.
Okay, it's all
Until
secret
it gets
at SHOT Show.
Completely filed.
And if you're not a member, you need to join. I joined like 5 times.
5 times.
Yeah, Ton joined
You need
5
that app
times.
that tells you how many subscriptions you got and which ones you aren't using. And
I think I got
Ton-
4.
Ton
I
called
got
me.
4. I think I got 5 memberships now.
He calls me the one day. He goes, "Man, I just renewed my GOA membership. I need to renew again." So I called our office. I'm like, "Hey, he just renewed." He goes, "They're like, yeah, he's got 5 memberships. I don't know why he keeps renewing every one. Every time a mail comes, he's our best.
Ton,
best people.
Donate 4 of those to somebody else.
I don't think it works that way.
I'm sure they can do that. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody taking the time to be on. That was a great little crystal ball looking into the future and getting everybody's opinions on that. And if you guys have personal questions for each of these individuals, you can go to their social media you can go to their websites, or you can hit me up and I'll get in touch with them if you've got specific questions for any of them. But it's going to be a great 2025. I'm looking forward to everything that the industry is going to be putting out, and we're going to be bringing it to you here on Talking Lead Podcast. So make sure you're tuning in each and every week, following us on the Instagrams and social media, and like and follow and do all that stuff. Until the next episode, Leadheads, as always, keep your loved ones close
and your firearms closer.
Very good. We are out.
Sweet.
She said she didn't like that thing.